The cabin door crashed open. Timothy Marsh stood in the entrance with armed warriors behind him, his beta power filling the room. Elva froze against the wall while, beneath the floorboards, her wounded mate hid in complete silence. One wrong breath could get them both killed. Then Karina Bright stepped forward and calmly claimed she had summoned Elva there herself. No one understood why an Omega would risk execution for a hunted lone wolf, and no one yet understood the secret hidden behind his amber eyes. Chapter 1. The Omega's Disgrace. Your mate will become the greatest blessing of your life. Trust in the wisdom of the goddess. Those were the words the pack elder had spoken to Elva Owens on her 18th birthday, the age when most wolves first began sensing the pull toward the partner destiny had chosen for them. The old woman had smiled with absolute confidence, as if every gift from the moon goddess arrived neatly wrapped in kindness, as if fate was always simple, always beautiful, always easy to understand. Elva would eventually discover how wrong that assumption could be. Sometimes the goddess's wisdom looked like insanity to everyone watching from the outside. Years later, when an irresistible pull began drawing Elva toward forbidden territory, she would follow it all the way to the southern border. There she would find a dying lone wolf collapsed beneath a tree, his amber eyes haunted, his body covered in wounds and scars that seemed to carry secrets of their own. He would tell her to stay away. He would warn her that he was dangerous. He would urge her to find someone better. And when others learned that an Omega had claimed a rogue as her mate, they would see only disgrace. They could not understand why she would risk everything for a wolf who seemed to possess nothing. Elva did not understand it either. Not yet. The Silver Creek Pack dining hall smelled of roasted venison and freshly baked bread. Normally, those scents should have been comforting. That evening, they only made Elva's stomach tighten. She moved quietly around the edge of the crowded room, balancing a tray in both hands. Her eyes remained lowered in the submissive posture expected of an Omega. "Watch where you're going, Omega." The sharp command made Elva stop immediately. She pressed herself against the wall as Karina Bright swept past. Karina's long golden hair flowed down her back, and everything about her seemed designed to remind others of her rank. She was beautiful, confident, powerful, the daughter of Silver Creek's Alpha. Everything Elva believed she could never be. "Sorry, Miss Bright," Elva murmured. Her gaze stayed on the floor. Karina did not acknowledge the apology. She never did. To wolves like Karina, Omegas were almost like furniture, useful when needed, invisible when they were not. Elva waited until Karina's footsteps had disappeared into the noise of the hall. Then she continued toward the far corner where the other Omegas sat. Their section was the darkest part of the room, far from the large windows and even farther from the warmth of the massive stone fireplace. Janine Church noticed Elva approaching and waved. "Sit here. We saved you a place." A small smile softened Janine's round face. She was one of the few wolves who had treated Elva with genuine kindness since Elva had been reduced to Omega rank 5 years earlier. Elva slipped onto the bench beside her. "Thank you." Across the table, Frida Davidson barely touched her food. Her troubled expression caught Elva's attention. "What happened?" Elva asked quietly. Omegas were expected to keep their conversations low enough that higher-ranking wolves would not be disturbed. Frida glanced around before leaning closer. "Did you hear? There'll be a mating ceremony next week. Alpha Hutchkins is officially announcing his daughter's mate." Elva already knew the answer. "Timothy Marsh?" Janine nodded. "The beta's son. Politically, it's almost perfect. He's strong, handsome, comes from an excellent bloodline. Karina's been talking about the match for months." "Must be nice," Frida murmured. "Imagine having the goddess give you everything, beauty, power, and a mate worthy of your position." Elva said nothing. She had learned long ago that discussing things like love, destiny, and rank usually created more pain than comfort. At 23, Elva was already one of the oldest unmated females in Silver Creek. People had noticed. Omegas rarely found mates. Their rank was too low, their wolves supposedly too weak, and most high-ranking wolves considered them undesirable. Elva had stopped hoping years ago. Attention. Alpha Anthony Hutchkins's booming voice silenced the entire hall. Every wolf immediately rose. Heads lowered in respect as the alpha stood at the high table. Anthony Hutchkins was tall and broad-shouldered. Silver streaked his dark hair, and his eyes carried the kind of authority capable of stopping a wolf in the middle of a shift. Karina stood beside him with her chin raised. Her midnight blue dress probably cost more than Elva earned during an entire year of service. As many of you already know, Alpha Hutchkins began, we have something important to celebrate. His voice reached every corner of the hall. Next week, beneath the full moon, my daughter Karina will be formally mated to Timothy Marsh, son of our respected Beta. Applause exploded through the room. Timothy rose near the high table and acknowledged the crowd with a confident grin. He was undeniably handsome, strong jaw, powerful frame, perfect posture. He looked exactly like the kind of wolf a pack wanted as one of its future leaders. Elva applauded with everyone else. The motion was automatic. She felt no real jealousy when she looked at Timothy and Karina, no sharp longing, only a quiet ache for the kind of life she had accepted would never belong to her. Alpha Hutchkins raised one hand. The hall fell silent again. However, before we celebrate, there is pack business that must be addressed. We have received reports of a rogue near our southern border, a lone wolf. Apparently injured but potentially dangerous. Uneasy murmurs spread through the room. Lone wolves were unusual. Some had been cast out, others had chosen exile. Without a pack bond, many eventually became unstable. Some became violent. Beta Marsh and his warriors will track the rogue, Hutchkins declared. We will tolerate no threat inside our territory. Not now, not ever. Another wave of applause followed. Timothy looked especially pleased, no doubt eager to prove himself before his mating ceremony. But Elva barely heard the applause. The strange sensation inside her chest had returned. For 3 days she had felt it. A pull. A constant tug deep inside her, almost like an invisible cord tied around her heart. And it was pulling south, toward the border, toward the rogue. Elva swallowed. She had spent days telling herself it meant nothing. Stress, exhaustion, illness. Anything except the possibility she feared. But the pull was growing stronger, more demanding. Number. Elva forced the thought away. It couldn't be that. The goddess could not possibly be so cruel. The rest of the evening passed around her in a haze. Elva cleared tables, washed dishes, scrubbed the kitchen, and helped prepare the hall for breakfast. Her body completed every familiar task. Her mind remained somewhere else. South. Always south. By the time she returned to the Omega quarters, she was exhausted. The quarters stood behind the main pack house, a long drafty building filled with 20 cramped bunks. Thin walls offered almost no protection from cold or noise. Elva collapsed onto her narrow mattress. Around her, other Omegas prepared for sleep while quiet conversations filled the room. Elva? She looked up. Janine stood beside the bunk, concern written clearly across her face. You've been distracted all day. Are you all right? Elva almost told her. She wanted to. But what could she possibly say? That she thought destiny had finally given her a mate? That she feared her mate might be the very rogue Silver Creek warriors were preparing to hunt down and kill? Janine would think she had lost her mind. I'm fine, Elva lied. Just tired. Janine clearly did not believe her, but she did not push. Then sleep. Tomorrow we'll be busy with all the preparations for the ceremony. When Janine left, Elva lay staring at the ceiling. Sleep never came. The pull was stronger than before, almost painful. Even her wolf, the weak, quiet presence that rarely spoke, was restless. Pacing, whining, desperate. Mate. Elva's breath caught. Mate is hurt. Mate needs us. She covered her face with both hands. No, this could not be happening. The moon goddess could not have bound her to a rogue already condemned to death by Elva's own pack. But hour after hour passed. The pull never weakened. Her wolf refused to settle. And before dawn, Elva finally accepted the truth. She could not ignore it anymore. She had to go. She had to see him. She had to know. Even if the answer destroyed her. Elva slipped from the Omega quarters while the sky was still dark violet and most of Silver Creek slept. She wore dark trousers, a plain shirt, and an old jacket, nothing that would attract attention. Years of being ignored had taught her how to move quietly. The southern border was almost 2 hours away through thick forest. The invisible bond guided her better than any compass. With every step, the pull intensified. Fear and anticipation battled inside her. What if she was wrong? What if the rogue attacked her? What if he really was her mate and rejected her the moment he realized she was an Omega? Then she smelled him. Pine. Smoke. Something untamed. The scent hit her so powerfully that she stopped breathing. Her wolf surged forward in immediate recognition. Mate. Perfect. Ours. Elva pushed through the last wall of brush. Then she froze. A man lay collapsed beneath a huge oak tree. He was barely conscious. Even in the dim light before sunrise, Elva could see how badly he had been hurt. Deep wounds crossed his chest and arms. Dark bruises covered exposed skin. His clothes were torn and stained with blood. Someone had tried very hard to kill him. Yet even like this, he was striking. Sharp features. Strong jaw. Dark hair tangled with dirt and dried blood. Then his eyes opened. Amber. A vivid, almost unnatural shade of amber. They focused on Elva. "Stay back," he rasped. Pain roughened his voice. "I'm not safe." Every sensible instinct told Elva to listen. Run. Return to Silver Creek. Pretend she had never come here. But the mate bond was blazing through her now, drowning reason beneath certainty. "You're hurt." She moved closer and lowered herself beside him. "Let me help." "No." He tried to move away but did not have the strength. "Your pack. They'll kill me if they find me here." "I know." Elva's hands shook as she reached toward him. Her fingertips touched his face. The bond exploded between them. Warm, golden, certain. His amber eyes widened. Shock briefly overcame pain. Your mate," Elva whispered. Tears filled her eyes. "Goddess help us both, but I'm your mate." For several seconds neither moved. They simply stared at one another. Then the wounded stranger smiled. It was bitter, broken. "The goddess has a cruel sense of humor," he murmured. "Giving you someone like me. What happened?" Elva removed her jacket and pressed the fabric against one of his worst wounds. "Who did this to you?" "Doesn't matter." His eyes were beginning to close again. "You should go. Forget you ever found me. Find someone worthy of you." "No." The force in Elva's own voice surprised her. His eyes opened again. "You're my mate," she said. "I'm not leaving you." Elva did not know where that courage came from. Her entire life had taught her submission. Obey. Lower your eyes. Never challenge anyone stronger. Yet kneeling beside this wounded stranger, something inside her refused to bend. "What is your name?" She used water from her canteen to begin cleaning the blood from his wounds. He watched her through those strange amber eyes. For a moment, Elva wondered if he would answer at all. Finally, he spoke. "Mitchell." A pause. "Mitchell Holland." "I'm Elva. Elva Owens." "Elva." He repeated her name slowly. Even weakened by blood loss, the way he said it sent a shiver through her. Then his nostrils flared faintly. "You're an Omega." It was not a question. He could scent her rank. Elva's stomach tightened. This was the moment she had feared. The rejection. The disgust. Yes. She waited. Mitchell only gave a small nod. His eyes started closing again. Perfect, he whispered. Elva leaned closer. What? They'll never suspect. Before she could ask what that meant, Mitchell lost consciousness. Elva remained kneeling beside him. The first light of sunrise spread pink and gold through the trees. Soon Silver Creek would wake. Soon the hunt would begin. She had a decision to make. She could leave Mitchell there, return home, pretend she had never followed the pull. The warriors would eventually find him, and whatever danger he represented would end without involving her. That was the safe choice, the sensible choice. Or she could protect him. Doing so meant defying her alpha, possibly committing treason, risking imprisonment or execution, binding herself to a wolf who might be every bit as dangerous as Silver Creek believed. Her wolf did not hesitate. Mate. Protect ours. Elva looked at Mitchell's unconscious body. I hope you're worth this. Then she began figuring out how to hide him before the hunters arrived. She knew almost nothing about the wolf destiny had placed in her path. She did not know what his scars meant. She did not know why trained wolves wanted him dead. She did not know why someone who appeared to be a broken rogue carried an aura that made her wolf instinctively pay attention. All Elva knew was that he belonged to her, and she would not abandon him. Chapter 2. The Hidden Sanctuary. The abandoned hunting cabin was older than Elva could remember. It had been forgotten so completely that it no longer appeared on Silver Creek's detailed maps. Elva had discovered it accidentally 3 years earlier while gathering herbs. Wild thyme had been growing through the rotten floorboards, and its scent had drawn her toward the ruined structure. At the time, the cabin had seemed useless. Now, dragging an unconscious man nearly twice her size through the forest, Elva thanked the goddess for leading her to it. Mitchell's weight strained every muscle in her body. Omegas were not known for physical strength. Their wolves were weaker and their bodies usually smaller. Desperation gave Elva endurance she had never known she possessed. Almost there, she panted. Mitchell remained unconscious. Just a little farther. The old structure eventually appeared between the trees. Weathered timber, sagging roof. Windows coated with so much dirt that almost no light passed through. It was far from comfortable, but it was hidden. That was all that mattered. Elva somehow got Mitchell inside and lifted him onto the single narrow cot in one corner. The rest of the cabin held only a weak table, 2 old chairs, and a stone fireplace that looked unused for decades. Dust covered nearly everything. The air carried the smell of mold and mice. Still, for now, it was safe. Elva immediately began treating Mitchell's injuries. Years of tending wounded members of Silver Creek had taught her basic nursing skills. The wounds looked terrible but did not appear immediately fatal. Deep claw marks crossed his chest and shoulders. His forearms showed defensive injuries. Bruising covered much of his body. The pattern told a clear story. This had not been some random fight. Someone had tried deliberately to kill him. Elva cleaned his wounds with water from a nearby stream and used the small amount of medicine she had managed to bring from the Omega quarters. As she worked, she studied him. Even unconscious, Mitchell did not feel ordinary. There was something beneath his battered appearance, a contained strength, not the obvious aggression of Silver Creek warriors. Something deeper. Her wolf noticed it too. Mitchell's eyes suddenly opened. Amber locked onto her. You came back. His voice was rough. I thought I dreamed you. I'm real. Elva kept cleaning the wound on his shoulder. And you're lucky. These cuts would have become infected if I hadn't found you. Mitchell watched her. Why? She glanced up. Why what? Why are you helping me? His expression remained guarded. You don't know anything about me. I could be dangerous. I could be exactly what your pack thinks I am. Elva stopped working. She looked straight into his eyes. You're my mate. For now, that's enough. Something moved behind his expression. Surprise. Pain. Perhaps fear. The mate bond doesn't make me good, Elva. It only means we're connected. Are you good? The question hung between them. Mitchell stared toward the ceiling. A long silence followed. Finally, he answered. I'm someone who's made mistakes. His jaw tightened. Terrible ones. I've been running for a very long time. From what? Who I was. He looked away. What I did. Responsibilities I couldn't carry. Elva finished wrapping the wound. You're deliberately being mysterious. I'm deliberately being careful. Mitchell looked back at her. The less you know, the safer you are. Elva stared at him. I'm an Omega secretly hiding a hunted rogue in an abandoned cabin. I think safety stopped being an option several hours ago. For the first time, Mitchell smiled genuinely. The change transformed his face. You're either much braver than you realize, or much more foolish. Probably both. Elva wrung blood from the cloth she had been using. Either way, you're stuck with me, so tell me who attacked you. The smile vanished. Wolves who wanted me dead. That part was obvious. Elva crossed her arms. Why? Because. Mitchell attempted to sit. Pain immediately twisted his face. Elva hurried over and helped prop him against the wall. Because I have something they want, he finished. Information? Maybe. Power? Take your pick. What kind of information? Mitchell's gaze hardened. The kind that could destroy packs, remove alphas, rewrite a hierarchy that's existed for centuries. Elva felt cold move down her spine. The kind of information, Mitchell continued quietly, that gets everyone near me killed. Elva studied him. You're not simply a rogue. No. His answer was barely a whisper. I'm not. Before she could demand more, distant howls rolled through the forest. Both of them froze. The signal of a hunting party. They're looking for you. Elva rushed toward the filthy window. The glass was too dirty to reveal much, but the howls were drawing closer. You need to leave, Mitchell said. He tried to stand. Elva pushed him back down. If they find you here with me, they won't. You don't know that. This place isn't on the maps. They have trackers. They'll follow my scent. Not if I make it difficult. Elva pulled herbs from the pouch at her waist. Wolfsbane, sage, thistle, plants strong enough to confuse a wolf's nose when mixed correctly. Mitchell watched as she crushed them into a paste and spread the mixture around the windows and entrance. Trust me, Elva said. I know how to disappear. You've done this before. Her hands slowed. I've had reasons to hide from pack members. What reasons? Elva avoided his eyes. When I first became an Omega, some ranked wolves thought chasing me through the forest was funny. They hunted me like prey. Mitchell went completely still. They hunted you? It happened years ago. A dangerous darkness entered his expression. Elva continued working. I learned to cover my scent. I learned where to hide. Mostly, I learned how to survive. When the herbs were in place, she returned to him. Now be quiet. They're close. The hunting party passed frighteningly near the cabin. Elva heard Beta Billy Riley shouting commands. Warriors tore through the brush. Younger wolves yelped with excitement as if this were entertainment. Through gaps in the filthy window, Elva caught glimpses of them. Timothy Marsh shifted into his powerful golden wolf. Sammy Gentry, one of Silver Creek's best trackers, nose close to the earth. Donald Washburn. Alfonso Greer. Both warriors had reputations for brutality. Elva stopped breathing. They were almost beside the cabin. If anyone glanced toward the structure, if Sammy detected Mitchell, her hand moved without thought until it found Mitchell's. His fingers closed around hers. Warm, strong despite his injuries. Southeast, someone shouted outside. I've got a trail going southeast. The hunting party changed direction. Voices faded. Branches cracked farther and farther away. Elva's body weakened with relief. Mitchell did not relax. They'll return, he whispered. When that trail disappears, they'll widen the search. Then we have time. Elva squeezed his hand. We'll use it. You should use it to reject our bond and go home. Elva stared at him. What? Reject me. Mitchell withdrew his hand. Pretend this never happened. Go back to your life. You want me to reject you? I want you alive. He turned toward the wall. I'm not the mate you deserve, Elva. I'm not some happy ending promised by your goddess. The goddess doesn't promise happy endings. Her voice softened. She only promises that sometimes we won't face the darkness alone. Beautiful words. Mitchell's expression hardened. But I've seen what happens to people who follow me. I destroy them. I refuse to do that to you. Something inside Elva snapped. Years of being told she was weak. Years of being treated as insignificant. Years of silence. You don't get to decide for me. Mitchell turned back. Elva stood straighter. I'm not some helpless Omega who needs someone else to protect her from her own choices. I found you. I carried you here. I knew the risks when I chose to save you. Elva, no. The anger had been buried too long. You don't get to reject me because you've decided I'm too stupid or too fragile to understand danger. Mitchell blinked. Elva kept going. My whole life, people have told me what I'm incapable of doing, what I'm not worthy of having, what I'm too weak to survive. Her voice shook, but she did not lower it. I'm done letting other people define me. She pointed toward him. You're my mate. I'm keeping you. Mitchell's eyebrows lifted. And if you want to argue, you can do it when you're not bleeding through the bandages I made for you. For several seconds, Mitchell only stared. Then he laughed. The sound seemed to surprise both of them. You're fiercer than you look, Omega. Don't call me that. Her eyes flashed. My name is Elva. Elva, he repeated. His expression softened. You're right. I'm sorry. She sat beside him. Good. Now are you finally going to tell me what you're running from? Mitchell became quiet. His amber eyes turned distant. I'm running from myself. Meaning? From who I used to be. From a position I abandoned because I wasn't strong enough to keep it. What position? One with responsibilities I couldn't fulfill, expectations I couldn't meet. His jaw tightened. A destiny I never wanted. He looked toward the window. I thought becoming nobody would free me from it, but blood doesn't forget what it is. More riddles. I know. For the first time, genuine vulnerability appeared in his eyes. I want to tell you, Elva. Then tell me. Once you know, everything changes. You can't unknow it. You won't be able to look at me the same way again. Try me. Mitchell studied her for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. All right. Elva waited. But not today. Her shoulders dropped. Mitchell, I'm too weak. I need to heal. He reached for her hand. Tomorrow. When I'm stronger, I'll tell you everything. Why they're hunting me. What I'm running from. What I've done. His voice lowered. I'll tell you secrets that could get both of us killed. Elva studied him. No more avoiding my questions? I promise. Everything? Everything. His fingers tightened around hers. Tomorrow you'll know exactly what kind of wolf fate gave you. Something in Mitchell's expression stopped Elva from arguing. Fear. Not fear of the hunters. Fear of her reaction. Fear that once she knew the truth, she might walk away. Tomorrow, she agreed. They remained inside the forgotten cabin while afternoon light filtered through layers of dirt on the windows. Outside, hunting howls echoed through the forest. Inside, two wolves bound by a mate bond sat side by side, trying to survive long enough to understand what fate had done to them. Eventually, Mitchell's eyes grew heavy. Before sleep took him, he spoke quietly. You saved my life today, Elva Owens. She looked at him. One day I'll repay that debt. His eyes closed. I swear it. Elva did not answer. She simply held his hand and kept watch. Tomorrow, she would learn his secret. For one more day, they were alive. For one more day, that was enough. Chapter 3. Secrets in the Moonlight. Elva woke because someone was watching her. Moonlight spilled through the broken windows and washed the cabin in silver. She had fallen asleep in the chair beside Mitchell's cot. Her neck hurt from the awkward position. Mitchell was awake. He leaned against the wall, looking considerably stronger than he had before. Color had returned to his face. His amber eyes were clear, focused. They were fixed entirely on her. "How long have you been awake?" "A few hours." Even his voice sounded stronger. "You should have returned to your pack. Someone will notice you're missing. I told Janine I was sick. She'll cover for me." Elva stood and stretched. "And you promised answers." "I'm not leaving until I get them." Mitchell sighed. "I did promise." "Yes." Elva moved toward the fireplace. "But first, food. You're not healing on an empty stomach." She had brought what little she could safely take from her personal supplies. Dried meat, hard bread, a few old apples. It was not much. As she started a small fire, she felt Mitchell watching her. "You're good at this." "At what?" "Taking care of people." Elva's hands paused. "It's what Omegas do. We serve." The bitterness in her voice surprised even her. "Is that what you want?" Mitchell asked. "To serve?" Elva turned toward him. No one had ever asked that question. "I don't know what I want." She looked into the flames. "I've never really been allowed to want anything. Everyone wants something." She looked back at him. "What do you want?" Mitchell's jaw tightened. "Peace." He thought for a moment. "Freedom, the chance to be someone other than the person I was born to become." A hollow laugh escaped him. "Impossible things." Elva sat near the fire. "Then tell me." His expression changed. "Tell me who you were born to be." Mitchell remained silent for so long that Elva wondered whether the promise had meant anything. Finally, he inhaled slowly. "My full name is Mitchell James Holland." His hands clenched. "My father was Alpha King James Holland of the Northern Territories." Elva stopped breathing. "My mother was Queen Luna Catherine Holland of the Moonstone line." The room seemed to tilt around Elva. "Alpha? King?" Mitchell's face became hard. "I was Crown Prince, heir to the largest pack alliance in North America. 47 packs, more than 50,000 wolves." Elva shook her head. "No. It's true." "The Crown Prince disappeared 8 years ago." "Exactly. Everyone knows the story. He abandoned his responsibilities. They searched for years. Eventually they declared him dead." Mitchell looked directly at her. "I made sure they would." Elva could barely process the words. "You're him?" "Yes." "Why?" Her voice fell to a whisper. "Why would anyone walk away from that?" Mitchell's eyes became haunted again. "Because I couldn't become what they needed." His voice cracked. "Because the crown was crushing me." He looked down. "Because I wasn't strong enough." Elva moved closer. "What happened?" "My father died when I was 19. Mitchell's hands began shaking. "A challenge. An ambitious beta thought he could take the crown by force." "Your father lost?" "No." Mitchell swallowed. "He won, but the beta had coated his weapon with wolfsbane. My father was poisoned through the wound." His voice lowered. "He survived 3 days." Elva reached toward him. "I'm sorry. The throne should have passed directly to me. That was tradition. That was law." His expression grew bitter. "But I was young, untested. The Council of Alphas questioned whether I could hold the alliance." "Half supported you?" "About half." "And the rest?" "Some wanted to challenge me themselves." Mitchell stared into the fire. "My own pack split. Some believed I was my father's rightful successor. Others saw a frightened boy pretending to be king." "You were 19. Wolves don't care." His amber eyes flashed. "Wolves follow strength." Mitchell explained how he had spent 2 years trying to keep the Northern Alliance together. 2 years of negotiations, challenges, political maneuvering, constantly proving himself. Packs fought because they did not respect his authority. Alphas tested him. Every decision was measured against his father's legacy. I wasn't him, Mitchell said. I couldn't inspire his loyalty. I couldn't inspire his fear. So you left. I ran. The disgust in his voice was aimed entirely at himself. The night before my coronation, I shifted and disappeared into the wilderness. He laughed bitterly. I told myself the alliance needed someone stronger, that I was making some noble sacrifice by giving up the throne. Elva watched him. But really, you were afraid. Mitchell flinched. Elva had not meant the statement cruelly. After a moment, he nodded. Yes. His voice was barely audible. I was terrified I'd fail. Terrified someone would challenge me and kill me. Terrified I'd become another dead alpha who couldn't hold his position. He looked at his hands. So I became nobody. For 8 years? For 8 years. Mitchell wandered alone from territory to territory. He avoided packs, avoided politics, avoided anyone who might recognize him. I thought I could stay invisible forever. What changed? His expression became grim. Someone discovered who I am. Elva's skin went cold. The wolves who attacked you, they weren't ordinary rogues. Mitchell touched the bandage covering his chest. They moved like trained soldiers, coordinated, prepared. They knew my fighting style. They were trying to kill you? At first, no. Elva stared. They wanted me alive. When I resisted too hard, killing me became acceptable. Who sent them? I don't know. Mitchell's jaw clenched. But whoever it is has money, resources, and enough influence to locate a wolf who stayed hidden for 8 years. Then his gaze fixed on Elva. And now they can find you. Why me? Because you're my mate. He leaned forward urgently. If anyone discovers who I really am and learns I have a mate, you'll become leverage. His voice hardened. They'll hurt you to control me. That doesn't change anything. Elva, I'm already risking execution for harboring you. Whether you're a rogue or a crown prince makes very little difference to Silver Creek. She sat beside him and took his hand. At least knowing you're a king gives us something else. What? A chance. A chance at what? Surviving. Elva held his gaze. Building something beyond this cabin. Mitchell shook his head. You want me to reclaim the throne? Maybe. He stared as if she had lost her mind. I left for a reason. I wasn't strong enough. You survived alone for 8 years. So, do you know how rare that is? Elva squeezed his hand. Most lone wolves lose themselves in months. You survived years without a pack bond, without protection, without support. That isn't the same as ruling. No, but it means you're not weak. She leaned closer. You aren't 19 anymore. You're 30. You've suffered. You've learned things that boy didn't know. Mitchell watched her. Maybe you're ready now. A long silence followed. You really believe that? I believe you're stronger than you think. Elva took a breath. And I believe the goddess didn't make a mistake when she tied us together. She hesitated before making herself vulnerable. I believe we might be stronger together. Mitchell's expression softened. Slowly, he lifted one hand and touched her cheek. You're extraordinary, Elva Owens. She almost laughed. I'm an Omega hiding in a rotten cabin. An Omega who looked a king in the eyes and told him to stop being a coward. I'm terrified. Really? All the time. Elva gave him a faint smile. I just learned early not to show it. The wolves who want to hurt you are always waiting for weakness. Mitchell's thumb moved over her cheekbone. Who hurt you? The warmth in his expression disappeared. Tell me their names. A protective growl entered his voice. Elva's wolf reacted with pleased excitement. It doesn't matter anymore. It matters to me. Before she could answer, a sound came from outside. Footsteps, several sets. Both froze. Mitchell immediately tried to stand. The hunters. Elva moved to the window. Shapes passed between the trees. 5. 6. all in human form. Weapons caught the moonlight. Silver-tipped spears. Arrows designed to kill wolves. We have to move. Where? Mitchell looked around. They're surrounding the cabin. There was one door. The windows were too narrow. Elva's mind raced. Then she remembered. The cellar. She dragged the old rug from the far corner. Beneath it was the almost invisible trapdoor she had discovered years earlier. An old root cellar. Together, they lifted the door. Darkness waited below. Get inside. What about you? I'll hide separately. No. If they find one of us, the other might survive. Elva. Go. She pushed him toward the opening. Mitchell hesitated. Then he grabbed her. His mouth met hers. The kiss was brief and desperate, but electricity surged through the bond. When he pulled away, his amber eyes burned into hers. Stay alive. His voice carried sudden command. That's an order from your king. Mitchell dropped into the cellar. Elva shut the trapdoor and pulled the rug over it. At that exact moment, the cabin door burst inward. Timothy Marsh filled the entrance. Beta power rolled from him. Donald Washburn, Alfonso Greer, and Sammy Gentry followed. All armed, all dangerous. Elva pushed herself against the wall and lowered her head. Small. Weak. Submissive. Exactly what they expected from an Omega. Timothy's eyes landed on her. Confusion became anger. Elva? His voice sharpened. What the hell are you doing here? Elva's mind went blank. She had prepared no explanation. There was no believable reason for an Omega to be alone in an abandoned cabin at the edge of Silver Creek territory in the middle of the night. She opened her mouth. Nothing came. Then another voice spoke behind Timothy. I asked her to meet me here. Elva's head lifted. Karina Bright stepped into the cabin. Her golden hair glimmered in the moonlight. Her expression remained perfectly calm. Timothy turned. Karina? I needed Elva's assistance with something private. Karina moved beside him. Her eyes met Elva's. The warning inside them was unmistakable. Women's matters, Karina added. Nothing you need to concern yourself with, darling. Timothy looked between them. In an abandoned cabin? The hunt was becoming tedious. I wanted some air away from all the male posturing. Karina waved dismissively. Elva came with me. You know how much I dislike wandering the forest alone. It was a terrible lie. Everyone knew Karina did not treat Omegas kindly. Everyone knew she would never choose Elva as a companion, and everyone knew the Alpha's daughter rarely entered the wilderness without an escort. But Timothy clearly did not want to discuss women's matters. Fine. Suspicion remained in his voice. But you shouldn't be out here. We're hunting a dangerous rogue. Then escort us home. Karina smiled sweetly. We were finished anyway, weren't we, Elva? Elva nodded. She did not trust herself to speak. Beneath her feet, Mitchell was hidden in darkness. He could probably hear every word. The warriors began searching the cabin. They overturned the table. Looked behind furniture. Checked every visible corner. Elva's pulse thundered. Nothing, Donald said. Dust and mice. Then move. Timothy turned toward the door. He couldn't have gone far. We'll expand the search, too. He stopped. His head lifted. He inhaled. Elva's heart nearly stopped. Timothy sniffed again. Alfonso reached for his weapon. What? Nothing. Timothy frowned. Thought I caught something. He breathed once more. It's gone. Just rot. Elva almost collapsed in relief. The herbs had worked. Barely. Karina folded her arms. Satisfied? Can we leave before this place ruins my dress? Timothy signaled his men. They began filing out. As Karina passed Elva, her hand closed around Elva's arm. The grip appeared gentle. It was anything but. Come along, Omega. Karina's smile remained pleasant. We have a great deal to discuss. Elva had no choice. She followed. Every step carried her farther from Mitchell, who remained wounded and alone beneath the floor. Around her walked warriors still hunting the very wolf she loved. Questions raced through her mind. Why had Karina saved her? How much had she discovered? What would she demand in return? Karina's fingers tightened around Elva's arm. Then, so quietly that the hunters could not hear, she whispered, "You have secrets, Omega." Her smile turned sharp. "I can smell them." Elva looked at her. "Starting tomorrow, those secrets belong to me." Chapter 4. The Alpha's Daughter's Game. The journey back toward Silver Creek felt like a march toward execution. Elva kept her head lowered while every instinct begged her to run back to Mitchell. Karina's hand stayed wrapped around her arm. Timothy led the group through the trees. Every so often, he glanced back at Karina with an expression that might have been affection, possession, or both. Karina returned each look with the flawless smile of a future mate. Her grip on Elva never weakened. Only after they crossed back onto formal pack grounds did Karina speak. "Timothy, darling, could Elva and I have a moment alone?" Timothy frowned. "It's late. My father knows I can protect myself. We should return to the pack house. We're already on Silver Creek land." Karina's tone stayed pleasant. "We'll follow you shortly." Timothy clearly disliked the idea, but arguing publicly with the Alpha's daughter would only make him look foolish. 5 minutes. Of course. He and the warriors continued toward the pack house. The instant they vanished, Karina's smile disappeared. She released Elva. Her green eyes became cold and analytical. "Now," Karina stepped closer, "are you going to tell me what you were actually doing in that cabin?" Elva forced herself to remain calm. "You already said." "Don't insult me." The words cut through the darkness. "I saved you because doing so suited me, not because I suddenly developed affection for Omegas." Elva swallowed. "Tell me the truth, or I turn around, bring every warrior back to that cabin, and have them tear it apart plank by plank." Cold fear spread through Elva. "I don't know what you think. You were protecting someone." Karina circled her. "Your hands are covered in herbs." She took Elva's wrist and smelled her fingers. "Wolfsbane, sage, thistle." Karina released her. "A scent-masking mixture." Elva remained silent. "Your clothes smell of blood, yet you're not wounded." Karina continued studying her. "And you look like a wolf who hasn't slept because she's been guarding something precious." Elva could not answer. Karina already knew too much. "I think you found our rogue." Elva's body tensed. "You should have reported him." Karina tilted her head. "But you didn't." She stepped closer. "Maybe because you're soft-hearted." Another step. "Maybe because you're stupid." Karina leaned close enough that Elva could smell her perfume. "Or maybe because he's your mate." Elva inhaled sharply. Karina's eyes widened. Then she laughed once. "Goddess above. I was guessing." Elva closed her eyes. "It really is true." Karina looked almost fascinated. An Omega mated to a hunted rogue. Her amusement faded. That might be the cruelest joke the moon goddess has ever played. "Please." Elva abandoned the lie. "Don't tell anyone. They'll kill him." "Of course they will. He's a rogue." Karina's expression shifted. "Unless he's more than that." Elva said nothing. Karina watched her closely. "What is he?" Silence. "A former alpha?" Nothing. "A criminal?" Elva held her gaze. "Someone carrying information?" Karina stopped. Something in her eyes changed. "Oh." She smiled slowly. "This is much more interesting than I expected." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." Karina stepped back. "And I know you won't tell me. That's fine." "What do you want?" "I want you to understand your position." "What position?" "The position of someone who owes me." Karina smoothed the fabric of her dress. "I lied to my future mate for you. I risked my reputation. I gave you enough time to keep your rogue hidden." Elva's stomach tightened. "What do you want from me?" "Obedience." Karina's answer was immediate. Silence. Cooperation. She looked Elva directly in the eyes. Beginning tomorrow, you work for me. You do what I ask, when I ask it. And in return, I keep your secret. Karina smiled. No one hears about your mate. No one hears about the cabin. And if I refuse, then I tell my father everything. Karina inspected one perfect fingernail. Your mate will probably be dead before tomorrow's sunset. Elva wanted to strike her. She wanted to refuse. She wanted to tell Karina exactly what she thought of the arrangement. Then Mitchell's face appeared in her mind. Wounded, hidden beneath the cabin, trusting her. Why? Karina looked up. Why what? Why protect us at all? Elva's voice trembled with anger. You've never cared about Omegas. I don't hate Omegas. Karina shrugged. I simply don't spend time thinking about them. That might be worse. Perhaps. For the first time, Karina's smile softened. But you're interesting. Me? An Omega willing to commit treason for her mate. Karina's eyes gleamed. An Omega who actually has a spine. She turned toward the distant lights of the pack house. I suspect you'll become useful. How? You'll find out. Karina looked back. For now, our arrangement is simple. I protect your secret. You cooperate. There is nothing simple about this. No. Karina almost smiled. But it's better than watching your mate die. Elva could not argue with that. Tomorrow at noon, report to my chambers. What for? I'll have work for you. Karina's voice hardened. And understand this, Elva. If your wolf becomes a genuine threat to Silver Creek or to my father's position, our agreement ends. She stepped closer. My loyalty is still to this pack, not your romance. Elva nodded. Understood. Good. Karina turned away, then stopped. One more thing. Elva waited. Whatever your mate is running from will eventually find him. Karina's eyes narrowed. When it does, I want warning. I refuse to be surprised by whatever disaster you're bringing into Silver Creek. Then she walked away, as calmly as if they had discussed nothing more important than tomorrow's weather. Elva remained alone for several seconds. She had protected Mitchell for another night. She had also placed herself under the control of a woman capable of destroying them with one sentence. Whether Karina could be trusted remained an entirely different question. When Elva slipped into the Omega quarters, almost everyone was sleeping. She moved toward her bunk. Elva. The whisper came from beside her. Janine was awake. You said you were sick, but you've been gone all day. Her round face showed genuine worry. I was frightened something happened. I'm fine. That's another lie. Elva sighed. Janine, please don't ask questions I can't answer. Janine studied her. Is this about him? Elva went rigid. Him? The rogue. Her heart seemed to stop. I don't know what. I felt something 3 days ago. Janine lowered her voice until it was barely sound. A change in you, around the same time you began acting strangely. Her expression softened. You found your mate. Elva could not speak. And he's the wolf everyone is hunting. Elva stared at her. Janine reached across the space between their bunks. I won't tell. Why? Because I know what it's like to have something worth dying to protect. Janine looked away. My mate died 6 years ago. Elva's eyes widened. You had a mate? He belonged to a pack 3 territories away. Janine's voice remained steady, but grief lived beneath every word. I felt the bond and started trying to reach him. Before I arrived, he died in a challenge. She swallowed. I never properly met him, never got to discover what we could have become. Janine, I'm sorry. No one here knows. She gave a sad smile. I'm an Omega. Nobody asks about our grief. Elva's eyes burned. Janine squeezed her hand. That's why I'm telling you. If you found your mate, don't let pack politics take him from you. What if protecting him destroys everything? Then protect him anyway. Janine's expression became fierce. The bond is sacred. She paused. Love is supposed to disrupt things, Elva. It's supposed to challenge the world around it. A small smile returned. Otherwise, what would be the point? Elva tightened her grip on Janine's hand. Thank you. Promise me you'll be careful. I will. The pack is searching everywhere. One mistake could… I know. They both lay down. Neither truly slept. Elva's mind remained with Mitchell. She needed to return. Needed to make sure the hunters had not found the cabin. The mate bond pulsed beneath her skin. It felt stronger. Mitchell was awake. She could sense it. I'm coming back. Elva closed her eyes and hoped somehow he could feel the thought. Just wait for me. Near dawn, Elva managed to leave again. She claimed she needed to gather herbs. Nobody questioned an Omega volunteering for an unpleasant task. Birds had begun singing as she moved through the forest. Every shadow frightened her. Every broken branch sounded like a hunter. When she finally reached the cabin, the door stood slightly open. Elva's pulse spiked. Mitchell? No answer. She rushed inside. Empty. The cot had been stripped. For one horrible second, Elva imagined that the hunters had found him, captured him, killed him. Then she heard a faint movement beneath the floor. Elva pulled away the rug and opened the cellar. Mitchell stared up from the darkness. Thank the goddess. He climbed closer to the opening. I heard you leave with them. I thought… I'm fine. Elva climbed down beside him and closed the door. In the darkness, she could feel his warmth, his heartbeat, his fear. But we have a problem. Only one? His attempt at humor did not work. Karina knows you're here. Mitchell went still. She doesn't know who you really are. Elva continued. But she knows you're my mate. Mitchell swore quietly. The Alpha's daughter. She's blackmailing me. What? She keeps our secret as long as I obey her. If I refuse, she tells her father. No. Mitchell seized her shoulders. No, Elva. You cannot put yourself under the control of someone like that. What else am I supposed to do? People with power will use you until there's nothing left. If she talks, you die. Then, I die. His voice cracked. I've spent 8 years running. Maybe it's time I stop before I drag you into the grave with me. Don't say that. Elva found his face in the darkness and held it between her palms. We solve this together. I can't protect you. You don't have to do everything alone. I am your mate. Pain filled his words. I'm supposed to protect you, and I'm hiding under the ground while you risk your life. His breathing became uneven. What kind of mate does that make me? He paused. What kind of king? The kind still learning. Mitchell became silent. You spent 8 years thinking you weren't enough. Elva kept her forehead against his. Maybe the problem wasn't that you lacked strength. What was it? You were alone. She tightened her grip. Maybe you never needed someone to be strong for you. Maybe you needed someone willing to be strong with you. For a long moment, Mitchell did not speak. Then his forehead rested against hers. How did I get this lucky? His whisper trembled. How did a broken king find the strongest wolf I've ever known? Elva almost laughed. I'm not strong. I'm an Omega. You're the strongest person I know. Mitchell found her hands. And I promise you something. His voice steadied. I will become worthy of you. Mitchell. I'll find a way to protect you. I'll give you the life you deserve. His grip strengthened. Even if that means facing everything I ran from. Then we face it together. Elva smiled in the darkness. No more hiding from your past. No more running. We find whoever is hunting you. Mitchell nodded. We find out why. And then… Elva hesitated. What? And then you reclaim your throne. Mitchell stared at her. And I become a queen. For a second, there was complete silence. Then Mitchell laughed. That may be the most insane plan I've ever heard. Good. Elva laughed with him. I've had enough of sensible plans. Sensible has given me nothing except pain. They remained together in the darkness. Two damaged wolves imagining an impossible future while enemies searched the forest above them. Eventually, Elva pulled away. We still need to move you. They'll expand the hunt. Where? I don't know yet. She squeezed his hands. But I'll figure it out. When will you come back? Tonight. Elva climbed toward the trapdoor. After everyone is sleeping, I'll bring better supplies. She paused. And perhaps Karina can finally become useful. Don't provoke her. What can she possibly do? Make my life difficult? Elva gave a bitter laugh. I'm an Omega hiding a wanted crown prince while being blackmailed by an Alpha's daughter. She climbed higher. I think we've already passed difficult. Mitchell caught her hand and pulled her back. This kiss was different from the first. Not a desperate goodbye. A promise. Stay safe, he murmured against her lips. Come back. Always. Elva left him hidden beneath the cabin and returned toward Silver Creek. Behind her waited a lost king. Ahead waited Karina. Elva had spent years being treated as a piece on someone else's board. She was finished with that. Chapter 5. The Price of Secrets. At exactly noon, Elva stood outside Karina Bright's private chambers. Before she could knock, the door opened. Punctual. Karina stepped aside. Good. I hate waiting. Elva had never entered this part of the pack house alone. Omegas came here only when summoned, usually under supervision. Karina's room was exactly as extravagant as Elva expected. Cream and gold covered nearly everything. A massive 4-poster bed occupied one wall. Silk draped from the frame. Antique furniture shone under the light. Fresh flowers stood in crystal vases. Not the wild flowers Elva gathered from the forest. Perfectly arranged flowers. The entire chamber was beautiful. It also felt suffocating. Sit. Karina pointed toward a velvet chair. Elva sat carefully on its edge. Karina took the seat across from her. Let's clarify our arrangement. You said you wanted my obedience, silence, and cooperation. Elva kept her voice controlled. What exactly am I expected to do? You work for me personally. As what? An assistant. Karina leaned back. You handle errands, attend to my needs, and most importantly, you tell me everything I want to know about your mysterious mate. No. The refusal escaped before Elva could reconsider it. Karina lifted one eyebrow. Excuse me? You promised to protect my secret if I cooperated. Elva met her gaze. You never said I had to betray him. Karina stared. Elva forced herself not to lower her eyes. I won't give you anything you can use against him. Then something unexpected happened. Karina laughed, not mockingly, with genuine amusement. There it is. What? That spine. Karina leaned forward. I was starting to wonder whether I'd imagined it. She considered Elva for a moment. Fine. Elva blinked. Fine? I won't demand information intended to hurt him. Karina's tone became serious. But I need enough knowledge to protect myself and Silver Creek. Why do you care? Elva asked the question that had been bothering her all night. You could have exposed us immediately. Why didn't you? Karina looked away. Because I'm tired. Of what? Being the perfect daughter. She stood and walked toward the window. The perfect future Luna. The perfect mate. Her fingers touched the glass. Do you know what it's like to have your whole life planned before you're old enough to understand what having a life means? No. Elva considered the question. But I know what it's like to have no choices. Karina looked back. Perhaps we're less different than either of us believed. She faced the grounds outside. I'm mating Timothy Marsh in 6 days. I know. Politically, it's excellent. Her voice became almost mechanical. Alpha and Beta families united, strong bloodlines, stable leadership, everyone is delighted. Except you. Karina's shoulders tightened. I didn't say that. Timothy isn't your true mate. Karina flinched. Barely. But Elva saw it. The moon goddess isn't always convenient, Karina said. Sometimes practical choices matter more. You met your real mate? Karina did not turn around. Once. When? 3 years ago. Her voice changed. At a gathering between allied packs. We looked at each other across the room. Karina closed her eyes. I felt the pull immediately. What was he like? A warrior from a smaller pack. A sad smile touched her mouth. Lower rank. Nobody politically valuable. She laughed softly. He had kind eyes. Karina's fingers curled against the glass. And a laugh that made my heart race. What happened? Nothing. Karina finally turned. I walked away. Elva stared. You rejected him? I pretended I hadn't felt anything. Why? Duty. Karina's expression emptied. I chose the life expected of me. She looked down. He's probably forgotten me by now. Maybe he found someone else. Her voice softened. Someone brave enough to choose him. Elva felt sympathy for a wolf she had spent years resenting. You weren't a coward. Wasn't I? Karina's eyes hardened. I had wealth, rank, protection, every advantage. She pointed toward Elva. You have almost nothing, yet you're willing to face execution for a rogue you've barely known. It's different. No. Karina interrupted. Don't make excuses for me. Her voice turned quiet. You chose love over safety. She touched her own chest. I chose safety over love. Silence settled between them. 2 wolves at opposite ends of Silver Creek's hierarchy discovered a wound they shared. Eventually, Elva spoke. So that's why you're helping me. Perhaps. Karina returned to her chair. Or perhaps you're simply the most entertaining thing that's happened here in years. Elva almost smiled. Does the reason matter? Not really. Good. Karina's expression shifted back into calculation. Now we discuss the immediate problem. She leaned forward. Your mate cannot remain in that cabin. Elva stiffened. Why? The search grid is expanding. Beta Riley is obsessed with capturing this rogue. And Timothy? He intends to find him before our mating ceremony. Elva's stomach tightened. 6 days. 6. Karina nodded. After the ceremony, Timothy's authority increases. If he hasn't caught your wolf by then, he'll have enough resources to search every corner of Silver Creek repeatedly. Then we move Mitchell. Karina noticed the name but did not comment. To where? Elva hesitated. No pack will shelter an unidentified rogue, Karina said. If you leave with him, you become a rogue too. I know. Then every nearby pack can legally hunt both of you. There has to be another way. There may be. Karina lowered her voice. Tomorrow night, my father is hosting representatives from 3 neighboring packs. For what? Boundary negotiations, trade agreements, political posturing. She rolled her eyes. The usual. Then she smiled. Everyone important will be inside the pack house. Elva understood. The borders will be lightly guarded. You want us to escape during the gathering. I want to give you the opportunity. Karina corrected her. What you do is your choice. Elva thought quickly. If we make it beyond Silver Creek, where do we go? That depends entirely on who your mate actually is. Karina watched her. And that's the part where you need to trust me. I said I won't betray him. I'm not asking you to. Karina's voice softened. I know blackmail isn't an excellent foundation for trust. Elva gave her a look. At least you're aware. But we're allies now, whether either of us likes it. Karina continued. I cannot protect you from a threat I don't understand. Elva wrestled with the decision. Finally, she spoke. He isn't an ordinary rogue. I gathered that. Powerful people are looking for him. How powerful? Very. Karina's expression became serious. Who is he? That's all I'm telling you until I speak to him. Why? Because it's his secret. He deserves a choice before I share it. Karina considered that, then nodded. Fair. Elva relaxed slightly. Bring him to the old stone mill tonight. Her relief vanished. The stone mill? Midnight. That's deep inside Pack territory, which makes it the last place anyone would expect a hunted rogue to enter. Karina smiled. I'll come alone. Why do you need to meet him? Because I'm preparing to help you commit treason. Karina's eyes gleamed. I'd like to see whether your wolf is worth the trouble. And if you decide he isn't, I'll still help you. Elva looked surprised. I've chosen my path. Karina stood. I'm not turning around now. She walked toward the door. Midnight. Don't be late. Elva stood but did not leave. Karina. What? Why are you really doing this? Karina went still. And don't say you're bored. For a moment, Elva expected another lie. Instead, Karina spoke without turning. Because 3 years ago, I allowed duty to destroy my chance at happiness. Her voice was almost too quiet to hear. I've regretted it every day. She opened the door. I won't stand by while it happens to someone else when I have the power to prevent it. Then the vulnerable woman disappeared. The Alpha's daughter returned. Now leave. I have work. Elva stepped toward the hallway. Karina caught her wrist. One more warning. What? My father's beta brought tracking dogs. Elva's blood chilled. Dogs? Real ones. Karina released her. Your herbs won't fool them. That changed everything. For the rest of the day, Elva operated beneath barely controlled panic. She prepared food. Scrubbed floors, folded linens, all while imagining tracking dogs reaching the cabin. She had to warn Mitchell. She also had to persuade him to meet Karina. Neither task would be simple. Night finally arrived. Elva waited until the Omega quarters became silent. Then she slipped outside. A hunter's moon flooded the forest with light. It helped her see. It also made hiding harder. Elva stayed away from paths, crossed streams whenever possible, stopped often to listen. Halfway to the cabin, she heard it. Dogs. Distant baying carried through the forest. Elva froze. They were already hunting. She ran. Branches tore at her sleeves. Roots nearly sent her to the ground. She did not slow. When the cabin appeared, its door was open. Had she left it that way? She could not remember. Mitchell? Elva rushed inside. Mitchell, we have to leave. Nothing. The cabin was empty. The cellar was empty too. The trapdoor stood open. Panic crushed the air from Elva's lungs. Then she noticed writing scratched onto the floor in charcoal. Dogs moving. Cliffs. Follow stream east. The cliffs. Elva whispered the words. The eastern cliffs overlooked the valley. 300 feet of open air above a rocky river. Why would Mitchell go there? Then she understood. The cliffs were defensible. He could fight with his back protected. And if capture became inevitable, he could jump. No. Elva ran again. No, Mitchell. The dogs sounded closer behind her. She followed the stream east. 5 minutes. Perhaps less. The trees thinned. Moonlight opened across the cliffside. And there he was. Mitchell stood near the edge in wolf form. Massive. Dark fur. Amber eyes glowing under the moon. Even injured, his wolf was magnificent. Powerful. More alpha than any rogue had a right to be. When he saw Elva, he shifted back. The transformation happened almost effortlessly. Another sign of power. Elva. Relief and anguish collided in his expression. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you. They're close. I know. She grabbed his hands. Karina wants to help us. Mitchell gave a bitter laugh. The Alpha's daughter? She has a plan. She has a trap. No. Elva spoke quickly. She wants to meet you at the stone mill. She can get us out during tomorrow night's gathering. A noise interrupted her. Voices. Near. Far too near. Go. Mitchell pushed her toward the trees. I won't leave you. Elva, please. A shout came through the darkness. I found the trail. Dogs erupted into frantic barking. Mitchell looked into Elva's eyes. Something in his face changed. Acceptance. I love you. Elva froze. I know it's too soon. We barely know one another, but I need you to know before. Don't. She grabbed him and kissed him hard. Don't you dare turn that into goodbye. There is nowhere to go. There is always somewhere. Elva searched wildly around them. Then she saw it. A narrow ledge running along the cliff face. Can you climb? In this condition? Yes or no? Barely. Good enough. She pulled him toward the edge. Trust me. The hunting party broke from the trees just as Elva and Mitchell swung onto the ledge. Beta Riley, Timothy, Donald, Alfonso, nearly 20 wolves, all armed. There, someone shouted. Elva and Mitchell were already moving. The ledge was barely wide enough for their feet. Sections crumbled under their weight. One mistake meant falling hundreds of feet. Behind them, hunters argued over whether to follow. They'll circle around, Mitchell panted. They'll block the other side. No. Elva pointed ahead. A dark opening broke the cliff face. A shallow cave. They reached it moments before the first hunters began edging across the ledge. Inside, Mitchell pulled Elva against him. They pressed into the deepest shadows. Footsteps drew closer. Elva could hear the hunters breathing. Any second, someone would notice the cave. She closed her eyes. Then a voice called from farther away. False trail. The hunters stopped. I found tracks heading north. Beta Riley answered. You're certain? Positive, sir. Fresh. They must have circled back. Elva's eyes opened. She knew that voice. Janine. Fall back, Riley ordered. The hunters retreated. The sounds gradually disappeared. Mitchell sagged against the cave wall. Who was that? Elva swallowed emotion. A friend. She listened to the distant voices. A friend who just saved our lives. They waited until they were certain the hunters had gone. Dawn was approaching when they finally climbed from the cave. The stone mill, Elva said. Mitchell looked at her. Karina's plan may be our only option. He studied Elva as if seeing her for the first time. You really are remarkable. I'm terrified. Those things aren't opposites. Elva reached for him. I'm still not giving up. Mitchell pulled her close. Then tomorrow night we meet your Alpha's daughter. His voice turned grim. And we find out whether she's going to save us or destroy us. Together. Together. They climbed away from the cliffs while dawn spread gold and pink across the horizon. Time was running out. Their hiding places were disappearing. And their best hope now rested with the last wolf either of them should have trusted. Chapter 6. The Stone Mill Meeting. The old stone mill stood near the edge of Silver Creek territory, like the remains of something dead. Its walls were crumbling. The water wheel had rotted away years ago. Moonlight entered through holes in the roof, cutting the darkness into pale strips. Elva and Mitchell approached from different directions in case either had been followed. The pack house was alive with activity behind them. Representatives from neighboring territories had begun arriving for the formal gathering. Expensive vehicles, formal clothing, powerful wolves, exactly the distraction Karina had promised. Mitchell appeared from the shadows near the entrance. His wounds were healing. He moved more easily now. Still, tension lived in his shoulders. Are you certain? No. Elva approached him. But we've run out of better choices. We could leave immediately. And go where? The wilderness. Elva touched his face. To spend the rest of our lives running? She shook her head. That isn't freedom. It's just dying slowly. A woman's voice emerged from the darkness. How touching. Mitchell spun. Karina stepped into the moonlight. She wore dark, practical clothing instead of her usual gowns. Her hair was tied back. Without the polished appearance of an Alpha's daughter, she looked younger, more human. Mitchell's body tightened. A low growl moved through him. Elva felt his power rise. Easy. She touched his arm. She came alone. Did she? His eyes remained on Karina. Or are the warriors waiting outside? Karina raised one eyebrow. If I wanted you captured, rogue, I wouldn't have entered alone. That only tells me you believe you can handle us. Karina smiled. I do. Her smile disappeared. But I didn't come to fight. She walked deeper into the ruined building and leaned against a broken table. Elva noticed how carefully she positioned herself. Clear line to the exit. Distance from Mitchell. Karina understood danger. Let's begin with honest introductions. She looked at Mitchell. I'm Karina Bright, daughter of Alpha Anthony Hutchkins, future mate of Timothy Marsh. Her eyes sharpened. And currently the only reason Silver Creek hasn't put silver through your heart. She gestured toward him. Your turn. Mitchell stayed silent. Elva could almost feel his instinct to hide battling his need for allies. I'll tell her. Mitchell stepped forward. His posture changed. His shoulders straightened. The wounded rogue vanished for an instant. Elva saw the prince underneath. My name is Mitchell James Holland. Karina's face went blank. I am former Crown Prince of the Northern Territories. He held her gaze. Heir to the Holland line. Karina did not move. The same Prince Silver Creek searched for 8 years before declaring dead. Shock crossed Karina's face. Then disbelief. Then calculation. The lost prince. She exhaled. Goddess. A humorless laugh escaped her. Elva didn't find a rogue. She looked toward Elva. You found the largest political disaster on the continent. I know what my existence means, Mitchell said. Do you? Karina pushed away from the table. If anyone learns you're alive, every alpha with ambition will choose a side. Exactly. Some will try putting you back on the throne so they can control you. Yes. Others will kill you before you can challenge them. Yes. And others will keep you alive only long enough to use your bloodline. Mitchell's jaw hardened. Which is why I disappeared. Karina nodded slowly. Until someone recognized you. The wolves who attacked me knew exactly who I was. Who sent them? I don't know. Karina began pacing. The Northern Territories have been unstable since you vanished. I'm aware. 3 different alphas have claimed the throne in 8 years. She stopped. Pablo Puig holds it now. Mitchell's eyes cooled. I know. Blackwater's alpha. Karina's disgust was obvious. He rules through fear. Half the alliance hates him. I've followed events from a distance. If you return, his legitimacy collapses. Karina's mind was clearly moving quickly. Your Holland blood. Packs loyal to your family would rally. Which gives Puig a reason to kill me. Or capture you. Karina nodded. He could force you to renounce your claim publicly. Mitchell considered it. Unless the attackers work for his opposition. Karina stopped. Someone might want to use you to remove Puig and then rule through you. Elva listened with growing unease. So everyone wants something from him. That's what political value means, Karina said. You stop being a person and become an asset. Elva looked between them. Then where can we possibly go? Karina became quiet. There is one place. Mitchell understood before Elva did. The neutral grounds. Karina nodded. No pack owns them. The old laws apply there. Sanctuary. For rogues, exiles, refugees. Mitchell's expression remained grim. They're 300 miles away. And getting there requires crossing several territories. Yes. Which is why you need me. Karina unfolded a map across the broken table. Tomorrow night, during the gathering, almost all security will be focused on the pack house. Elva leaned over the map. I thought the gathering was tonight. Preparation and arrivals are tonight. The formal dinner is tomorrow. Karina pointed toward the perimeter. I can create a distraction big enough to pull additional warriors away from the borders. What kind? Elva asked. Karina smiled. Don't worry about that. Mitchell studied the route. The Deadlands? Your best option. They're unstable. They're also not controlled by any single pack. Karina traced the path. If you stay away from established territories, you'll have a chance. She continued. Beyond the Deadlands, use the old human highway, reach the city, then find the abandoned subway entrance at 5th and Main. Elva frowned. Why? There are underground passages beneath human territory. I've never heard of them. Most wolves haven't. Karina explained that the tunnels dated back to an era when wolves needed secret routes to escape human hunters. Safe houses and passages once connected major territories. Many were abandoned now. But this section still reaches the southern edge of the neutral grounds. Mitchell studied every line of the map. Why are you doing this? Karina glanced toward him. I already told Elva. I don't want a story about love or courage. His voice hardened. You understand politics. Helping me is treason against Silver Creek. Karina met his gaze. Because I'm tired of watching people suffer when I could act. She hesitated. Because I abandoned my own mate bond. Mitchell's expression shifted slightly. And because... Karina's voice became more careful. If you survive, perhaps one day you reclaim your throne. So this is an investment. Partly. She did not deny it. If that day comes, remembering which Alpha's daughter helped you could be useful. Mitchell gave a faint smile. At least that's honest. But I also want you both to survive. Karina looked toward Elva. That part is honest too. Elva felt unexpected warmth toward her. Thank you. Save the gratitude. Karina folded the map. You're nowhere near safe. She handed it to Mitchell. Memorize this. Don't carry it. Mitchell studied it. I won't need to. You can remember all of this? I was trained to become king. His amber eyes flashed. I don't forget maps. Good. Karina looked toward Elva. I've prepared supplies. Where? The old gardening shed behind the Omega quarters. Food, water, bandages, medicine, everything I could obtain without attracting attention. Elva stared. How did you manage that? I have methods. Karina smiled. The distraction happens tomorrow at 9. She pointed again. Use the eastern border. The fence is weak beside the old oak. I know the place. Once you cross, go northeast. Karina's expression became deadly serious. Do not stop. How much time? 2 hours before trackers organize. She paused. 3 if you're lucky. Mitchell stepped closer. If this is a trap. Karina waited. If you betray us, I will survive long enough to make certain every pack learns you knowingly helped the crown prince. His voice became cold with royal authority. Your father, your future mate, Silver Creek itself. Everyone will become implicated. Instead of looking frightened, Karina laughed. There. Mitchell frowned. I was wondering when the Alpha would finally appear. Then she became serious. This isn't a trap, Your Highness. You have my word. Words are cheap. Then judge what I do tomorrow. Karina walked toward the entrance. Before leaving, she stopped. When you reach the neutral grounds, find Viola Blake. Who? She runs a safe house. Karina looked back. Tell her I sent you. Another political investment? Mitchell asked. No. Sadness touched Karina's face. Another wolf who understands second chances. Then she disappeared into the night. Elva looked toward Mitchell. Do you trust her? No. The answer came immediately. But I believe her plan. That's enough? It has to be. Mitchell pulled Elva closer. We aren't running anymore. Elva raised an eyebrow. We're crossing 300 miles to escape hunters. A tactical retreat. He kissed her forehead. Different thing. And once we're safe? We find out who's hunting me. Mitchell's voice strengthened. We gather information. Then? Allies. The king emerged in his posture again. And eventually we take back what belongs to me. The throne. The throne. My pack. His amber eyes burned. The life I abandoned. He held Elva's face gently. I ran when I was young, because I had nothing strong enough to keep me standing. And now? Now I have you. He kissed her. A mate worth fighting for. Elva swallowed emotion. I believe in you. I know. Mitchell smiled softly. And somehow that terrifies me more than armies. He rested his forehead against hers. I will give you a life worthy of a queen. You don't need to prove anything to me. I need to prove it to myself. His voice was certain. I will reclaim my throne, Elva, not because I need power. Then why? Because I want a future where nobody can hunt you because of your rank. He kissed her again. A future where we stop hiding. The following day passed painfully slowly. Elva completed her duties while remembering that every familiar room might be one she was seeing for the last time. Silver Creek was the only home she had ever known. She had lived here first as a normal member. After her family died and she was pushed into Omega rank, it had become something else. A cage. When she thought about leaving, she expected grief. Instead, she felt relief. Freedom. You're leaving. Elva turned. Janine stood behind her in the storage room where they were supposed to organize linens. What? Don't lie. Janine's expression was sad. I saved you at the cliffs. I think I've earned honesty. Elva lowered the fabric in her hands. Yes. Tonight? Yes. With him? Elva nodded. Janine suddenly hugged her. Good. Elva stared. Good? Get out. Janine held her tighter. Find whatever happiness is waiting for you. She pulled back. Don't become me, 20 years from now, still wondering who your mate might have become. Come with us. The words left Elva instantly. Janine froze. There's nothing keeping you here. We're heading for the neutral grounds. A sad smile appeared. I'm not you, Elva. You're stronger than you think. Maybe. Janine squeezed her hands. But someone has to stay, and make sure Silver Creek doesn't understand what happened too quickly. No. This is my choice. Janine's tone hardened. I'll delay them however I can. Janine, promise me something instead. What? Live the life I didn't get. Tears filled Elva's eyes. I promise. They said goodbye between stacks of folded linens. 2 Omegas their pack barely noticed. 2 women who saw each other clearly. That afternoon, Elva collected Karina's hidden supplies. Everything promised was there. Food, water, medicine, bandages, tools. When darkness settled, powerful visitors filled the pack house. Alphas, betas, mates. Representatives from neighboring territories, dressed to display wealth and position. Omegas were not guests at such events. They served. They cleaned. They remained invisible. Tonight, invisibility became Elva's advantage. She slipped away at 8:30. Mitchell waited near the eastern border. Ready? No. Elva smiled nervously. But let's do it anyway. They reached the old oak. Karina had been right. The fence had a weak point hidden behind its roots. 9 o'clock arrived. Nothing happened. 5 minutes. 10. Mitchell looked toward the pack house. At 15 minutes past 9, the night exploded. A massive blast shook Silver Creek. Flames rose near the pack house. Alarms erupted. Warriors began shouting. Goddess, Mitchell breathed. What did she do? I have no idea. Elva listened. Everyone was moving toward the emergency. The border is open. Mitchell grabbed her hand. Then we go. They slipped through the fence. Elva crossed out of Silver Creek territory. For the first time in her life, she was no longer under its authority. She looked back once. Emergency lights flashed around the pack house. Smoke climbed into the darkness. She felt no regret, only hope. Behind them, Karina Bright watched flames consume Timothy's prized collection of vintage motorcycles. She had chosen them carefully, expensive enough to guarantee Timothy's full attention. spectacular enough to pull warriors away from the borders. "Sorry, darling," she murmured. A small smile appeared. Then she returned calmly to the formal gathering. Her perfect life waited inside. And somewhere beyond the eastern border, two wolves ran toward freedom. Chapter 7. Through the Deadlands. The Deadlands had earned their name. No pack truly claimed the region, because almost nothing healthy grew there. An old human industrial disaster had poisoned much of the soil. Water was contaminated. Trees stood twisted and skeletal. Ruined buildings scattered across the wasteland. It was territory for desperate wolves. Rogues. Fugitives. Anyone trying to disappear. It was also the most dangerous part of Elva and Mitchell's route. They ran through darkness following the path Mitchell had memorized. No birds sang. No small animals moved through the brush. Only wind crossed the dead trees. "How much time do we have?" Elva was already breathing hard. They stopped briefly behind a collapsed warehouse. Mitchell listened. "They've noticed you're missing by now. And you?" "If anyone checked the cabin, yes." He looked toward the darkness behind them. "Maybe an hour before they organize proper trackers. What if they bring dogs?" "Less." A howl split the night. Both froze. "Hunting call." "They already know." Elva whispered the words. "Then we move." They ran again. Across cracked parking lots. Through abandoned factories. Past rusting machinery. Every shadow looked capable of hiding a rogue or a hunter. Elva's lungs burned. Her legs began aching. Mitchell kept hold of her hand. "There." He pointed. An old subway entrance descended beneath the ruins. "We can use the tunnel to hide our scent." They hurried underground. The air turned cold and damp. A few emergency lights still flickered. Graffiti covered the walls. Pack warnings. Territorial symbols. Threats. "This way." Mitchell entered the tunnel. "Karina's route says this line runs northeast." Their footsteps echoed. Water dripped. Rats moved somewhere in darkness. Elva tried not to imagine the hunters entering behind them. "Mitchell." "What?" "If we don't make it, we will." "But if..." He stopped and turned. "No." Elva looked at him. "I didn't survive 8 years alone just to die in a subway tunnel beside the woman I love." Her breath caught. "You love me?" Mitchell's expression softened. "Of course I do." He moved closer. "You're brave. Stubborn. Completely impossible." Elva almost smiled. "You saved my life when you owed me nothing. You're my mate. You believed in me when I couldn't." His hands cupped her face. "Yes, Elva, I love you." His thumb touched her cheek. "And I intend to spend a very long life proving it." Elva kissed him. All the fear she had been carrying poured into that moment. When they separated, tears were on her face. "I love you too." Mitchell smiled. "I had suspected." Then voices echoed through the tunnel behind them. Elva's smile vanished. "They followed us." "Move." They ran deeper. The tunnel branched repeatedly. Mitchell changed directions to complicate the trail. Left. He pulled Elva into a smaller tunnel. This should connect to maintenance passages. They entered a large underground chamber. Old tools remained mounted on walls. Lockers stood in rows. A faded map showed the subway system. Mitchell examined it quickly. "We can bypass the main tunnels through here." "How long?" 2 hours, maybe 3. Elva listened. The hunters were getting closer. "We don't have 3. Then we'll be faster." Mitchell opened a narrow maintenance door. The service corridor beyond was barely wide enough for one person. They moved single file. The ceiling forced them to bend. Behind them, hunters entered the maintenance chamber. "Spread out." Elva recognized the voice. Beta Billy Riley. He had joined personally. "Check every passage." Mitchell glanced back. "That's bad." "I know." Riley was known for refusing to abandon a hunt. The narrow corridor seemed endless. Elva struggled for air. Almost there, Mitchell whispered. They finally emerged into another tunnel, older, damaged, but leading away from the hunters. How do you remember all this? Elva asked. Royal training. Mitchell stepped over debris. Maps, terrain, escape routes. His laugh was bitter. Everything they taught me to become king became useful for running. You aren't running away. What would you call this? Running towards something. Mitchell looked back. Elva continued. Toward the wolf you're supposed to become. Before he could answer, a deafening crash shook the tunnel. The ceiling ahead collapsed. Dust consumed the air. When it settled, a wall of rubble blocked the route. No, Mitchell approached it. Can we climb? Too unstable. He touched one section. The whole ceiling could come down. We go back? That takes us toward Riley. Elva searched for another option. Then cool air touched her face. She turned. A narrow crack ran through one side wall, partially buried under debris. Mitchell. Together, they cleared enough broken stone to reveal a small opening. Where does it go? Mitchell asked. I don't know. Elva looked back toward the sound of hunters. But I know what's behind us. They squeezed through. The opening led into natural limestone caves beneath the subway. Darkness became absolute. They felt their way along wet stone. Water dripped everywhere. Their breathing echoed. After several minutes, Mitchell stopped. We're moving upward. How can you tell? Training. Elva heard amusement in his voice. Alpha senses. He sniffed. Fresh air. They continued climbing. Eventually, moonlight appeared overhead. They scrambled through rocks until they emerged into a ravine. Stars filled the sky. Beyond the ridge, human city lights glowed. The city. Elva almost laughed with relief. We crossed the Deadlands. Not yet. Mitchell pointed behind them. Lights moved through the ravine. Flashlights. Dozens. They're still following? Elva stared. How? Riley is good. Mitchell's expression darkened. And dogs don't quit easily. They climbed from the ravine and ran toward civilization. Dead factories became warehouses. Warehouses became streets. The human city stretched before them. Even in the late hours, cars moved across highways. Windows glowed. Elva had rarely spent time among humans. Wolves generally stayed within their own society. 5th and Main, Mitchell said. The subway entrance should be downtown. They tried to appear ordinary while moving through city streets. Their dirty clothes and Mitchell's pack attracted a few glances. No one interfered. Eventually, they reached the old downtown district. Pre-war buildings rose around them. Here, a boarded subway entrance stood beneath condemned signs. Elva examined it. You're sure? No. Mitchell began pulling away boards. But there aren't many other options. They slipped inside and replaced the boards behind them. Unlike the Deadlands station, this one had no lights. They descended by touch. There should be a mark, Mitchell said. 3 scratches forming a triangle. They ran their hands across the stone. Minutes passed. Elva's panic began returning. Then her fingers found 3 deep cuts. Here. Mitchell felt the symbol. Together, they searched the surrounding wall. A concealed door opened under Mitchell's hand. Light appeared on the other side. The passage beyond was maintained. Clean. Functional lamps ran along the walls. Mitchell exhaled. The underground. Elva entered. The old network? The same one Karina described. The hidden door closed behind them. For the first time since leaving Silver Creek, Elva felt almost safe. How much farther? About 10 miles. Mitchell looked at her tired face. 3 hours if we maintain pace. I can do it. Elva. I can. They walked. Unlike the abandoned tunnels, these passages had once been carefully planned. Emergency supplies appeared at intervals. Maps marked major junctions. This connected every territory? Elva asked. In theory. Mitchell studied one map. Before wolves could live openly among humans, our ancestors needed hidden movement routes. Why did everyone stop using them? Some sections collapsed. He continued walking. Some alphas intentionally let the knowledge disappear. Why? Mitchell gave her a bitter smile. Because wolves are harder to control when they know where the exits are. The tunnels continued. Time blurred. Elva placed one foot in front of the other until movement became instinct. Finally, they reached another door. A full moon had been carved into it. A wolf howled beneath the symbol. Mitchell stopped. The neutral grounds. Elva stared. Beyond this? The old laws apply. Mitchell touched the door. No pack authority. Are we actually going to be safe? He turned. I don't know. The honesty frightened and comforted her at the same time. I don't know if complete safety exists for us anymore. Mitchell took both her hands. But I know we're stronger together. Elva smiled faintly. As king and queen? Eventually. He smiled. For now, we're two stubborn wolves refusing to abandon each other. That sounds less impressive. It's enough. Mitchell pushed the door open. Golden daylight poured through. They had been underground long enough for dawn to arrive. Elva stepped outside. Green hills rolled ahead. Wildflowers covered the land. Healthy forests surrounded clear streams. Farther away stood a small town. Wolves moved between houses and shops. Mitchell put his arm around her. Welcome to freedom. Elva breathed deeply. Years of tension seemed to loosen inside her. They had made it. Not to the end, but to somewhere safe enough to stop running for one day. What now? We find Viola Blake. Mitchell kissed the side of her head. We sleep. And after that? His amber eyes turned toward the town. We figure out how to take back my throne. Elva raised an eyebrow. Our throne. Mitchell smiled. Our throne. Together, they walked downhill. Behind them, the underground door closed. Ahead waited a future neither could predict. Chapter 8. Sanctuary and Secrets. The settlement inside the neutral grounds felt unlike any wolf community Elva had ever seen. There were no obvious rank markings, no territorial symbols, no public displays of dominance. Wolves simply moved through the streets. A female wearing worn clothing walked beside a male dressed in expensive tailored trousers. A scarred warrior sat talking to an elderly wolf who looked barely strong enough to shift. No one bowed. No one lowered their eyes. It feels strange. Mitchell walked beside her. You're waiting for someone to establish rank? Yes. Elva watched young wolves playing without adults constantly correcting their behavior. In Silver Creek, hierarchy controlled everything. Most packs are the same. Mitchell nodded toward the town. The old laws here existed before our current pack structure. They entered a general store to ask for Viola. A middle-aged wolf with graying hair stood behind the counter. He smiled immediately. Travelers. Mitchell glanced at Elva. Is it obvious? Exhausted faces. The shopkeeper laughed. You keep looking at every exit. He reached for a coffee pot. Most new arrivals do. He poured 2 mugs. I'm Ricky Hancock. Mitchell. Mitchell hesitated. And this is Elva. No surnames required. Ricky handed them the drinks. We don't ask newcomers what they escaped. Elva accepted the coffee gratefully. We're looking for Viola Blake. Ricky's face brightened. Viola? Big house north of here. Blue door. She runs a safe house? The best one. He leaned closer. One piece of advice. Mitchell listened. The neutral grounds are protected, but they aren't free of politics. Ricky lowered his voice. Some wolves want peace. Others are waiting for opportunity. His eyes moved between them. Be careful with trust. Mitchell nodded. Understood. The blue-doored house was impossible to miss. Large but welcoming. Flowers grew around the front path. A porch swing moved in the breeze. Before Elva could knock, the door opened. A woman in her late 30s stood there. dark hair streaked with silver framed an intelligent face. Her clothing was simple. Her presence was not. Viola Blake? Mitchell asked. Yes. Her gaze assessed both of them. And you must be the pair Karina Bright said might arrive. Elva stared. You know Karina? We've exchanged messages. Viola stepped aside. I help wolves escape difficult circumstances. Karina has sent people before. She looked at their condition. Come inside before either of you falls over. The house had been designed for comfort. Soft furniture. Warm colors. Nothing aggressive. Nothing that made a frightened wolf feel trapped. Sit. Viola disappeared toward the kitchen. I'll bring food. Elva collapsed beside Mitchell. Her body finally began acknowledging what they had done. Hours of running, climbing, hiding. We made it. She rested against him. At least to the first safe place. Mitchell kissed her forehead. This isn't the end. Can we worry about the end tomorrow? He smiled. Yes. Viola returned with plates of hot food. Elva had not realized how hungry she was. She and Mitchell ate almost without speaking. When they finished, Viola sat opposite them. Karina's message was intentionally vague. She folded her hands. She said you were mates fleeing serious danger and required discretion. Her eyes moved to Mitchell. She didn't explain the danger. Mitchell and Elva exchanged a glance. How much should we tell you? He asked. As much as you choose. Viola shrugged. I shelter wolves. I don't interrogate them. Mitchell considered his words. I'm being hunted because certain wolves consider me politically valuable. Viola's eyes narrowed. That sounds more serious than ordinary exile. I was important once. Were? I'm trying to become nobody. Viola studied him. You carry alpha energy. Mitchell said nothing. Very strong alpha energy. She turned toward Elva. And you carry Omega rank, but you don't behave like most Omegas I've met. Elva stiffened. Is that a problem? Quite the opposite. Viola smiled. Wolves with steel in their spines survive longer. She leaned back. Here's what I can give you. A room? As long as you need. Protection? The Council of Neutrals enforces sanctuary. And privacy? I don't disclose identities. Mitchell's eyes remained cautious. Why help strangers? Pain crossed Viola's face. Because once, I was the stranger. She became quiet. 10 years ago, my family arranged a forced mating to settle my father's debts. Elva listened. My true mate and I ran. Viola looked toward the window. We were trying to reach this place. She paused. They caught him first. Elva's chest tightened. He gave me enough time to escape. Viola's voice became thin. They killed him as a warning. I'm sorry. I survived. Viola looked back at them. And I promised at his grave that no wolf seeking sanctuary would ever be refused at my door. Mitchell nodded slowly. Then we accept your help. He remained serious. But the wolves hunting me are dangerous. Most wolves powerful enough to chase refugees are. They could put you at risk. I've lived with that risk since opening this house. Viola smiled faintly. The old laws give us protection. Elva frowned. Everyone mentions the old laws. What are they exactly? Viola settled into explanation. They predate alphas, betas, packs as we know them. What do they say? No wolf may harm another on neutral ground. She held up one finger. No wolf honestly seeking sanctuary may be refused. Another. No wolf is judged by the crimes or rank of their past, only by what they do here. And the council enforces this? Mitchell asked. Absolutely. Who are they? Elder wolves from many territories who abandoned pack loyalties to protect the neutral grounds. Viola stood. They answer to no alpha. She looked toward Mitchell. And no king. Mitchell nodded. Fair. Now sleep. Viola pointed upstairs. You both look terrible. The bedroom was simple. Clean bed. fresh linens, windows overlooking the peaceful town. Once Viola left, Elva and Mitchell barely removed their shoes before collapsing. Elva curled against him. His heartbeat beneath her ear was steady. We made it. She needed to say the words again. We did. Mitchell tightened his arms around her. My impossible mate. They were asleep within minutes. When Elva woke, sunlight filled the room. For several seconds, she forgot where she was. Then everything returned. Silver Creek. The escape. The tunnels. Mitchell sat at the edge of the bed. How long? Elva rubbed her eyes. 14 hours. He turned. Rest had changed him. He looked stronger. More alert. Less like a hunted rogue. More like the man who had been trained for a throne. Viola checked on us. They cleaned themselves and went downstairs. The safe house held more refugees than Elva had realized. During breakfast, Viola introduced them only as Mitchell and Elva. Nobody demanded more. Elva recognized the unspoken understanding. Everyone here had something they were not ready to discuss. After eating, Viola pulled them aside. We need a plan. Mitchell's attention sharpened. The neutral grounds are safe, but they're small. Viola crossed her arms. Information travels. How long until someone finds us? Depends on who's searching. She considered it. Weeks if you're fortunate. Days if your enemies are determined. Mitchell looked toward Elva. What do you suggest? That depends. Viola's gaze settled on him. Are you hiding indefinitely? No. The answer surprised Elva with its certainty. Then what are you doing? Mitchell became quiet. Finally he spoke. Can we talk privately? Viola led them into a small office and shut the door. Soundproofed. Mitchell stood. My full name is Mitchell James Holland. Viola did not visibly react. Former Crown Prince of the Northern Territories. Her eyes sharpened. Rightful heir to the throne currently held by Pablo Puig. Viola slowly leaned back. That explains several things. You knew? I knew you weren't ordinary. She studied him. I didn't know you were the lost prince. Puig may be hunting me. May? I don't know whether the attackers worked for him or for someone hoping to use me against him. Viola nodded. Either is possible. Mitchell ran a hand through his hair. For 8 years I tried disappearing. He looked at Elva. That is no longer possible. And you've decided to fight? Viola asked. Yes. The word carried weight. I need information, allies, resources. He faced her. Can you help? Viola remained silent. Then she walked toward a cabinet and removed a map. The neutral grounds are not as neutral as they appear. Mitchell smiled faintly. Ricky warned us. There are factions here. Viola spread out the map. Some wolves quietly remained loyal to the Holland line. Mitchell stared. After 8 years? They never accepted Puig. Viola continued. Others support him. Others support anyone capable of removing him. Spies. Essentially. Elva felt unease return. So we're not truly invisible here. No. Viola looked at Mitchell. But there are wolves who have been waiting for someone legitimate to rally behind. For me, for someone worthy. The distinction hit Mitchell. Viola did not soften it. You ran once. I know. Those wolves need proof you won't do it again. What kind of proof? Leadership. Viola touched the map. Strength, strategy, commitment. She marked 3 areas. Puig's rule is weakening. How? 3 large packs are near rebellion. Mitchell leaned over the map. If they publicly support me, you begin forming a real opposition. Viola nodded. Puig has warriors, resources, and established control. And I have? Mitchell asked. For now? Viola looked between him and Elva. A mate, a legitimate bloodline, and stubborn determination. Mitchell almost smiled. I also have 8 years of surviving things my younger self couldn't. His hand found Elva's. I understand failure. He looked at Viola. And now I understand what I'm fighting for. Viola's eyes moved toward their joined hands. A true mate bond. Yes. Then she studied Elva. An omega beside a potential king will create problems. Good. Both turned toward Elva. She straightened. Let them underestimate me. A smile appeared on Viola's face. I think you may have a chance after all. How much of one? Small. Viola smiled wider. But real. She folded the map. Give me several days. For what? I'll contact the rebelling packs. Mitchell's expression changed. If they agree to meet, you convince them you're worth following. And if I fail, then we find another path. Viola walked toward the door. One more thing. She looked back. Do not trust anyone completely. Mitchell raised an eyebrow. Including you? Especially me. After Viola left, Elva faced Mitchell. Are you truly ready? For what? War. He was quiet. Then he pulled her close. I don't want to hide anymore. That wasn't my question. I know. He looked into her eyes. Yes. His voice became certain. I want to become the king I should have been. For me, for myself too. Elva touched his chest. You don't owe me a kingdom. I know. What do you owe me? Mitchell smiled. The truth. And my loyalty. And my irritating presence for the rest of your life. Elva laughed. That'll do. He kissed her. When they separated, Elva rested her forehead against his. We're really going to do this. We are. We could lose. Mitchell's eyes flashed amber. Then we make sure we don't. Outside, the peaceful settlement continued its ordinary day. Inside Viola Blake's safe house, a lost crown prince had stopped hiding. Chapter 9. The Gathering of Rebels. 3 days passed. For Elva, life in the neutral grounds became almost peaceful. She helped Viola around the safe house. She learned the names of other refugees. She watched wolves interact without constantly measuring rank. The freedom still felt strange. Mitchell spent most of those days in Viola's office. Maps, reports, political records. Everything that had changed in the 8 years since he disappeared. Elva watched him transform. His posture changed. His voice became more decisive. Even the way he entered a room began to feel different. The king had always been there. Now Mitchell was allowing him to return. On the 4th morning, Viola knocked on their bedroom door. They've arrived. Mitchell stood immediately. Who? The representatives. His entire body became alert. All 3 packs? Yes. Viola's expression remained grave. They'll meet tonight. Where? The old council hall at the edge of the neutral grounds. Conditions? No guards. Neutral location. Complete secrecy. Mitchell nodded. If I convince them, they may pledge themselves to you. And if I don't, they return home. Viola paused. Or decide you're dangerous enough to report. Elva frowned. They'd betray him to Puit? Some rebels want Puit removed. That doesn't automatically mean they want Mitchell. Mitchell understood. We'll be ready. After Viola left, Elva watched him pace. Nervous? Terrified. Mitchell laughed once. These wolves are risking their packs just by meeting me. His expression darkened. They deserve someone who won't fail them. You didn't fail them. I abandoned them. You were young. That doesn't erase what happened. No. Elva took both his hands. But you're not asking them to follow the boy who ran. Mitchell looked at her. Tonight you enter that room as Mitchell Holland. Her voice became firm. Crown Prince. She squeezed his hands. Rightful king. Something changed behind his eyes. You command their attention. Elva continued. You show them what 8 years taught you. And if they still don't believe, then at least they reject the man you are now, instead of the ghost of who you were. Mitchell stared. When did you become wiser than me? When I discovered the king, fate gave me needs constant supervision. He laughed. Elva smiled. Come on, let's prepare. The old council hall looked almost supernatural beneath moonlight. Age had damaged the stone structure, but traces of its former grandeur remained. Mitchell and Elva approached together. Ready? No. Elva took his hand. Let's go. Inside was a circular chamber. Stone benches rose around the room like an amphitheater. Power filled the space. 3 groups of wolves sat separately. Viola emerged from the shadows. Thank you for coming. She addressed the gathered leaders. I know what each of you risks simply by being here. Then she gestured toward Mitchell. Mitchell James Holland, Crown Prince of the Northern Territories. Her hand moved toward Elva. And his mate, Elva. Silence. Assessment. Then a large older male rose. Gray threaded his hair. Scars crossed his face. I am Nelson Lutz, Alpha of Ironwood Pack. He studied Mitchell. My pack served the Holland line for 3 generations. Mitchell nodded respectfully. Alpha Lutz. We were devastated when you disappeared. A female alpha stood from the second group. Tall, elegant, sharp-eyed, Christine Wyatt, Riverside Pack. Her expression hardened. Pewitt has bled us through taxes and tribute for 8 years. The third leader stood. He was younger than the others, only several years older than Mitchell. Jason Henry, Clearwater Pack. His controlled energy immediately revealed power. We have remained neutral. He watched Mitchell carefully. But Puig is making neutrality impossible. Mitchell stepped forward. Elva saw the transformation instantly. Authority settled over him. Not arrogance. Command. Thank you for coming. His voice filled the chamber. I know you have questions. He looked at Nelson first. Where I went. Christine. Why I left. Jason. Whether I deserve anything from you now. He paused. I will not insult you with excuses. Good, Nelson said. We've had enough excuses from kings. 8 years ago I ran. The chamber became completely still. I was afraid. Mitchell did not look away. I believed I could not carry my father's crown. His hands stayed relaxed at his sides. I was correct about one thing. Christine's eyebrows lifted. I wasn't ready. Mitchell continued. I was a frightened young wolf trying to imitate a king. And now? Christine asked. Now I understand strength differently. How? Strength isn't making everyone fear you. Mitchell's voice deepened. It's surviving when fear tells you to surrender. He walked slowly across the chamber. I spent 8 years with no pack, no protection, no title, no army. He looked at each alpha. I learned humility. Another step. I learned resilience. Then he reached for Elva's hand. And I learned what deserves to be fought for. Jason's gaze moved toward Elva. Your mate is Omega rank. Yes. Unusual for a king. Elva spoke before Mitchell could. Unusual does not mean weak. All eyes moved toward her. I have spent most of my life being underestimated. She kept her voice calm. I chose Mitchell knowing that protecting him could mean execution. Jason studied her. I would choose him again. Christine leaned back. Fine speeches. She looked toward Mitchell. But Puig has soldiers. Her voice sharpened. Money. Weapons. Loyal alphas. She gestured around the hall. What do you have? Legitimacy. Mitchell answered instantly. I am Holland blood. He stepped forward. Puig took power through violence. I inherited a lawful claim. Nelson frowned. Sheet will say you abandoned that claim. Then I say I entered exile. Mitchell met his gaze. I spent 8 years learning the lessons a protected prince could never learn. He paused. But legal arguments aren't what matter. What does? Jason asked. Whether I can take the throne. Mitchell's amber eyes hardened. And whether I can hold it. Can you? With your support, yes. Mitchell made no attempt to pretend otherwise. Without it, no. The honesty changed the room. I am not asking you to follow blindly. He looked at them. I'm asking for the opportunity to prove that the Holland heir who disappeared has returned as someone capable of leading. Christine folded her arms. Supporting you makes us targets. You already are. Mitchell's voice rose. How long until Puyat decides Riverside isn't obedient enough? Christine's jaw tightened. How long before Ironwood's tribute isn't enough? Nelson remained silent. How long before Clearwater's neutrality becomes treason? Jason's eyes narrowed. Mitchell spread his hands. You can wait while Puyat weakens you one pack at a time. His voice hardened. Or stand together. Nelson slowly rose. You speak well. Mitchell waited. But speaking isn't proof. Then what proof do you want? Proof you won't run again. Silence followed. Then Mitchell shifted. Power rolled through the council hall. His human body transformed into a massive dark wolf. Amber eyes burned like molten gold. Every alpha in the room reacted. It was not merely Mitchell's size. It was his aura. Ancient. Overwhelming. The presence of Alpha King blood. Even powerful wolves lowered their heads slightly under the force. Mitchell shifted back. This is what I hid for 8 years. His voice remained calm. This is Holland blood. He looked around the room. This is why Puyat wants me dead. He stepped toward Nelson. And this time I'm not hiding it. Nelson stared. Then slowly, the old alpha dropped to one knee. His fist pressed against his heart. Ironwood pack pledges to the Holland line. Mitchell went still. My warriors are yours. Nelson bowed his head. My resources are yours. He spoke the ancient words. My loyalty is yours, until death or release. Christine watched Mitchell for several seconds. Then she knelt. Riverside pack stands with the rightful heir. Elva's chest tightened. 2. Everyone looked at Jason. He remained standing. You have power. Jason spoke calmly. Legitimacy. A pause. Passion. Mitchell waited. But passion without strategy creates martyrs. Jason moved closer. Tell me how you intend to defeat Puyat. Mitchell smiled slightly. Fair. He walked toward the table where Viola had prepared maps. Come here. For the next hour, Mitchell showed them what he had been planning. Not a reckless attack. A campaign. Puyat's strength is his army, Mitchell explained. But that army is also a weakness. How? Christine asked. He rules through fear. Mitchell pointed toward supply lines. His warriors obey, because they believe resisting him is impossible. So we prove it isn't. He traced routes. We don't attack major strongholds first. Nelson leaned closer. We attack supplies? Yes. Tribute routes? Yes. Secondary operations? Exactly. Mitchell looked around the table. Small strikes. Controlled. Minimal casualties. What does that achieve? Jason asked. Doubt. Mitchell tapped the map. We show that Puyat cannot protect what belongs to him. He moved his finger north. Meanwhile, rumors spread that the Holland heir lives. Christine nodded slowly. Hope among his enemies, and uncertainty among his allies. Mitchell continued. We don't need everyone to love me. His expression hardened. We only need enough wolves to stop fearing him. A propaganda campaign combined with guerrilla tactics, Jason said. Until he becomes desperate. Mitchell smiled without warmth. Desperate alphas make mistakes. And when he does, we strike hard enough to finish it. Jason stared at the map, then at Mitchell. Then he knelt. His fist touched his chest. Clearwater Pack stands with the Holland line. Mitchell exhaled slowly. My warriors, my resources, my loyalty. 3 packs. Not an army capable of taking the throne yet, but a beginning. We meet again in 1 week, Mitchell ordered. I want current intelligence on Puit's positions. He pointed to the maps. Supply routes, weak holdings, loyalists. The Alphas nodded. Our first strike must matter. They left separately to reduce suspicion. When the chamber emptied, Viola approached. You did better than I expected. Mitchell raised an eyebrow. Thank you? You gave them more than a bloodline. What? A plan. Viola smiled. And hope. The hard part begins now. The hard part was getting 3 suspicious Alphas to kneel. Viola turned away. The rest is only war. Elva stared. Only war? Viola laughed softly and left. Mitchell pulled Elva close. Afraid? Terrified. Still with me? Elva looked up. Unfortunately for you. Mitchell smiled. When we reclaim the throne, I will make you queen publicly. Elva's smile faded slightly. An Omega queen. Yes. The Alphas will hate that. Some will. Mitchell's eyes sharpened. Let them. He touched her face. Maybe our world needs to remember that rank isn't the same as worth. He kissed her forehead. You already changed the way I understand strength. Elva looked back toward the council hall. 3 Alphas had arrived as skeptics. They left carrying news capable of shaking the northern territories. The lost prince was alive, and for the first time in 8 years, he was coming home. Chapter 10. Reclaiming the crown. 6 months passed. 6 months of calculated attacks. 6 months of alliances. 6 months of rumors moving across the northern territories. 6 months in which Mitchell Holland changed from a dead prince whispered about in secret into Pablo Puig's greatest threat. Elva stood inside the war room that had once been Viola's largest guest room. A huge map covered one wall. Red markers represented Puig's remaining control. Blue represented Mitchell's allies. Green showed packs still undecided. There was far more blue than there had been half a year earlier. He's becoming desperate. Mitchell approached from behind and wrapped his arms around Elva. 3 more packs pledged support this week. Elva leaned against him. And Ironwood? Ambushed Puit's tax collectors. Casualties? None. Clearwater. They destroyed the Eastern Supply Depot. Elva turned. Everything is happening exactly the way you predicted. Almost. She touched a report on the table. Now Puig has called a Grand Council. Mitchell's expression hardened. He's demanding every major Alpha reaffirm loyalty. A trap, obviously. He wants to identify the rebellion and remove its leaders at once. Elva watched him. But you're smiling. Because he's giving us something. What? A stage. Mitchell picked up the council notice. Under the old laws, any wolf with a legitimate claim can issue a formal challenge for leadership before the assembled packs. Elva understood. No. Elva. You want to fight him. One-on-one. Her stomach tightened. To the death? Potentially. Mitchell. It's the quickest way. Or the quickest way to lose everything. He remained silent. Elva stepped closer. Can you actually defeat him? Yes. Or do you need to believe you can? Mitchell thought carefully before answering. 6 months ago, I would have had doubts. And now? Now I know. His amber eyes held hers. Not because I'm larger. A pause. Not because I'm faster. He touched the place above her heart. Because I finally understand what I'm fighting for. The mate bond. Yes. Mitchell pulled her close. You made me stronger. No. Elva shook her head. You chose to become stronger. He smiled. Fine. You gave me a reason to choose. His expression became certain. I am not the boy who ran from the coronation. He straightened. I am the king I should have become. And tomorrow, I'm going to prove it. Elva wanted another plan. A safer plan. But she recognized that look. For 8 years, Mitchell had fled his destiny. Now he was walking directly toward it. Then we go. She took his hand. And we win. The Grand Council gathered in an ancient amphitheater at the heart of the Northern Territories. Hundreds of wolves filled the stone structure. Every major alpha, important betas, representatives from dozens of packs. Fear and anticipation charged the air. Pablo Puig sat on the Alpha King's throne. Black stone surrounded his massive frame. He looked exactly like the ruler described in every report. Large. Scarred. Cold-eyed. Dangerous. All alphas will reaffirm their loyalty. His voice carried through the amphitheater. Come forward. He leaned back. Kneel. One after another, alphas approached. Some knelt willingly. They had benefited from Puig's rule. Others lowered themselves stiffly. Anger lived in every line of their bodies. Then Nelson Lutz's turn came. The Ironwood Alpha walked toward the throne, stopped, and remained standing. The amphitheater became silent. Puig leaned forward. Kneel. Nelson did not move. I cannot pledge loyalty to a false king. Gasps spread through the crowd. Puig slowly rose. What did you say? Nelson's voice became louder. I will not kneel before a false king. He looked toward the gathered wolves. Not when the rightful heir has returned. Chaos erupted. Puig's face hardened. The crown prince is dead. No. Christine Wyatt rose. He is very much alive. The crowd exploded again. Wolves shouted. Alphas stood. Puig scanned the amphitheater. Then let him show himself. His voice cut through the noise. If this prince exists, let him face me. Mitchell stood. Elva rose beside him. Instantly, nearby whispers began. Mitchell descended the stone steps. Moonlight struck his face. More wolves recognized him. He looks like James Holland, the prince. It really is him. Mitchell climbed onto the central platform. He and Puig faced one another. The usurper. The heir. 8 years between them. Mitchell Holland. Puig's voice dripped contempt. The coward finally came home. Mitchell did not react. I challenge you for the throne. The amphitheater fell silent. Before every assembled pack, under the old laws of council, I claim my birthright. His voice strengthened. I challenge Pablo Puig for leadership of the Northern Territories. Puig smiled. Cruel. Then understand what you're asking. He stepped closer. This is not ceremony. I know. Winner rules. I know. Loser dies. Elva's heart hammered. Mitchell never looked away. I accept. Mitchell. Elva started forward. Viola caught her arm. This must happen. If he loses, he won't. Viola tightened her grip. Trust him. The crowd cleared the central fighting circle. Puig removed his shirt. His body was covered in scars from years of combat. Mitchell removed his. His own scars told a different story. Years of survival. Near death. Running. Endurance. Puig smiled. Last words? Mitchell turned toward Elva. His expression softened. I love you. Elva's throat tightened. No matter what happens. Then both men shifted. Puig's wolf was enormous. Dark. Scarred. Built for brutal force. Mitchell's was slightly smaller. Faster. Dark fur gleamed beneath the lights. Amber eyes remained intelligent. Focused. They began circling. Puig attacked first. He charged with overwhelming force. Mitchell moved aside at the last instant and ripped claws across Puig's flank. Blood appeared. Puig spun. Enraged. Mitchell kept moving. Short attacks. Quick retreats. He was provoking Puig deliberately, making him angry, making him careless. But Puig's strength was real. When he finally caught Mitchell, his jaws closed around Mitchell's shoulder. Elva heard teeth strike flesh. Mitchell cried out. Elva nearly moved. Viola held her. Mitchell did not retreat. Instead, he twisted and buried his claws into Puit's chest. Both wolves separated. Blood covered them. The battle continued. Minutes stretched. Claws. Teeth. Dodges. Impact. Neither submitted. The stone beneath them became slick with blood. Elva forced herself to watch. Mitchell tired. Puit tired. Their movements slowed. Then Puit committed. He lunged directly for Mitchell's throat. Everything he had left went into the attack. Elva stopped breathing. Mitchell waited until the last possible instant, then dropped. Rolled. Puit's momentum carried him over. Before the usurper could recover, Mitchell attacked. His jaws locked around Puit's throat. His claws pinned him against the stone. The amphitheater erupted. Mitchell held him there. One bite would end it. Yield. The word emerged through his wolf form as a growl. Puit struggled, then stopped. Slowly, he exposed his throat. Submission. Mitchell released him. He shifted back. Blood covered his body. He stood over Puit. Leave the Northern Territories. Puit shifted as well. Take anyone still loyal to you. Mitchell's voice carried through the amphitheater. If you return to threaten my rule again, there will be no second mercy. Puit pressed one hand against his bleeding throat. Hatred filled his face, but beneath it was reluctant respect. You earned it. Mitchell watched him. The throne. Puit struggled upright. You're stronger than I believed. Mitchell turned toward the gathered packs. Because I don't fight alone. He looked at Elva. I fight for my mate. Then toward his allies. My packs. Then toward hundreds of wolves who had suffered beneath Puit. And everyone who was told they were too weak to matter. Puit left, supported by his remaining loyalists. Mitchell faced the assembly. He was bleeding. Exhausted. Unbowed. I am Mitchell James Holland. His voice echoed from the ancient stone. Crown Prince of the Northern Territories. He looked toward the throne, rightful heir of the Holland line. Then his voice became command. I reclaim my birthright. I reclaim the throne. Silence held for one heartbeat. Mitchell continued. I will lead with strength, but not cruelty. He looked across the crowd. I will protect wolves who cannot protect themselves. Another breath. I will honor strength without using it to crush the weak. He raised his head. And I will rebuild what fear destroyed. Nelson Lutz knelt first. Then Christine. Jason. One alpha after another followed. Even former Puit supporters eventually bent their knees. Ancient pledges filled the amphitheater. When the last alpha had knelt, Mitchell looked toward Elva. Come here. Her legs trembled as she climbed onto the platform. Mitchell took her hand. This is Elva. Hundreds of eyes turned toward her. My true mate. Elva's heart pounded. The wolf who found me when I was broken. Mitchell looked at her. The wolf who believed in me before I remembered how to believe in myself. Then he faced the packs. She carries Omega rank. Murmurs began. Mitchell's voice rose above them. But she has the worth of a queen. The amphitheater went silent. And before every assembled pack, I declare that Elva will rule beside me. He squeezed her hand. Not beneath me. His eyes remained on hers. Beside me. As my equal. A pause. As my partner. Then, with all the authority of the throne he had just reclaimed, as my queen. The silence became almost unbearable. An Omega Queen had no precedent in their traditions. Then Nelson rose. He pressed his fist to his heart. I pledge loyalty to King Mitchell Holland and Queen Elva. His voice rang across the amphitheater. Long may they reign. Christine stood. Riverside Pack recognizes Queen Elva. Jason followed. Clearwater Pack recognizes Queen Elva. One after another, other alphas accepted the declaration. Some enthusiastically, others reluctantly, but they accepted it. Mitchell turned toward Elva. Blood stained his hands as he touched her face. They laughed at the Omega who chose a poor lone wolf. His smile was exhausted but bright. They didn't know what you had chosen. Elva looked across hundreds of wolves bowing before her. She remembered Silver Creek, the dark Omega table, the cabin, Karina's blackmail, Janine's courage, the cliffs, the tunnels, everything that had brought them here. "How does it feel?" Mitchell asked. Elva took a breath. "Like justice." She smiled. "Like destiny." Her eyes met his. Like the moon goddess understood exactly what she was doing. Mitchell kissed her in front of the assembled packs. Not every wolf cheered, but enough did. Enough to begin something new. Epilogue. 6 months later, Mitchell and Elva's coronation took place inside the restored throne room of Holland Palace. Fresh paint and new furnishings had repaired years of neglect without erasing the building's history. The bones of the palace remained ancient. Generations of Holland rulers seemed present in every stone. Elva stood before the throne in a gown made especially for her. Simple, elegant, silver and blue. A delicate silver crown rested on her head. Mitchell stood beside her wearing formal royal clothing. Gold gleamed from his crown. He no longer looked like the wounded stranger Elva had discovered beneath an oak tree. He looked completely at home, powerful, certain, a king. Below them gathered not only wolves from the northern territories but alphas from across the continent. News of the lost prince's return had traveled far beyond his own alliance. An ancient high priestess stepped forward to perform the ceremony. Mitchell James Holland. Mitchell lowered his head. "Do you swear to rule with wisdom and strength?" "I do." "To protect the weak and honor the strong?" "I do." "To place the welfare of your packs before your own?" "I so swear." The priestess turned toward Elva. "Elva Holland." Elva met her gaze. "Do you swear to stand beside your king?" "I do." "To counsel him honestly and wisely?" "I do." "To become the voice of wolves who might otherwise remain unheard?" Elva thought of every Omega table, every lowered head, every wolf ignored because someone stronger had decided their life mattered less. "I so swear." The priestess raised her hands. "Then, by the authority granted through the ancient laws and under the blessing of the moon goddess, I declare you king and queen of the northern territories." Cheers filled the throne room. Elva barely heard them. She was looking at Mitchell, seeing the frightened young prince who had spent 8 years running, seeing the wounded rogue who had warned her to stay away, seeing the king who had finally come home. Mitchell looked at her in much the same way. The invisible Omega, the frightened servant, the woman who had refused to leave him, the queen standing beside him now. "We did it," Mitchell whispered. Elva squeezed his hand. "We did." Later, during the celebration feast, Viola approached. "A message came for you." She handed Elva a sealed letter. The seal belonged to Silver Creek. Elva's hands trembled slightly as she opened it. The elegant handwriting was unmistakable. "Dear King Mitchell and Queen Elva, congratulations on your coronation. Silver Creek Pack wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Northern Territories. I believe cooperation and trade between our territories could benefit us both. There is also something I wanted you to know. I ended my engagement to Timothy. I finally told my father that I intend to choose my own future. It's terrifying. It is also the most liberated I've ever felt. I think I finally understand what the two of you were fighting for. Perhaps one day I'll find enough courage to search for the mate I turned away from. For now, knowing that I helped 2 wolves reach their happiness is enough. Your friend, if you'll allow me to call myself that. Karina Bright." Elva handed the letter to Mitchell. He read it and smiled. "Should we accept diplomatic relations with Silver Creek?" "Absolutely. And if Karina visits?" "We welcome her." Elva folded the letter carefully. "As a friend." Mitchell laughed. "The woman who blackmailed you?" People are complicated. Elva smiled. And everyone deserves the chance to choose a better path. Mitchell pulled her close. I love you, my impossible queen. I love you too, my stubborn king. They joined the celebration. There would still be difficult years ahead. Political enemies. Old traditions. Wolves who resented an Omega sitting on a throne. Reforms that would take time. Conflicts neither of them could yet predict. But Mitchell and Elva would face them the same way they had faced everything else. Together. As mates. As partners. As equals. The Omega who had spent years being invisible now wore a crown. The king who had fled his destiny had finally returned home. And together, they began building a kingdom where rank mattered less than worth, where strength could appear in the most unexpected wolves, and where love was not weakness. It was the reason they had survived.